championship battle getting closer and closer.
Dale Jarrett's Cinderella season seemed almost too good to be true. If he wasn't winning, which he's accomplished 4 times, he was logging top 5 or top 10 finishes. The timing was perfect. But then the clock struck midnight at Bristol, where the high banks not only ripped off his glass slipper, but crushed it repeatedly. Throughout the weekend, his quality care coach ran more like a pumpkin that had to be pieced together time and again. He had to hope that Darlington next week would somehow spin things around.
Dale Jarrett just pulls into his pit stall. There goes Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, the guys on the front stretch.
Wow, look at that, 15.6, John.
Even those lightning-fast stops couldn't overcome the back pits and an untimely rain shower which served to even further tighten up the points. Dale Jarrett's season must seem like one of those heartwarming fairy tales. You know the kind. You know, Snow White couldn't have been happier with those 7 dwarfs. Lassie and little Timmy were the best of friends, and DJ and his band of merry men once held a 300-plus point lead in the standings. Then you know what happened? You got it. Snow White took a bite of that poison apple, Lassie got lost, and DJ had to spend back-to-back weekends at Bristol and Darlington. Now stick with me here. If we follow this fairy tale scenario, we should be looking for a happy ending. Remember, the handsome Chris came out in Kent's Snow White, Lassie found his way home, and tonight, Dale Jarrett comes back to one of his favorite racetracks, maybe has a flawless night, and maybe, just maybe, picks up his 3rd win in his last 5 starts here. Makes perfect sense until I remember, oh gosh, the ending of the movie Old Yeller. Now I'm worried again. Or maybe that's what Mark Martin and the guys chasing him in points are hoping for.
32-year-old Jeff Burton has emerged as this season's $2 million man, shining on 2 rainy days at Darlington and a $1 million night at Charlotte. This Jeff has 5 wins this season, tying him with the other Jeff for the series lead. Now the native son is back home in Virginia, where he hopes to continue his reign as the race winner and championship contender. But it hasn't always been home sweet home for the Burton boy. In May, he led the most laps, but finished 37th. Dale Jarrett ran away with the win and took the point lead away from Burton. Tonight, the Exide team is all charged up to defend their title and try and make a run at the series title. So you think Jeff Burton is a 1,000,000-to-1 shot to win the championship, huh? Well, that's okay, because a million's been his lucky number this year. Twice. And of course, he got to his home state track here on Thursday, and you know what that was? It was 9-9-99. So maybe the numbers are working for him this season. So here are a few more. 5 top 10s in his last 7 starts here, including a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Yet inconsistency is still his biggest enemy. In his last 6 races, 2 top 10s, plus a 36th and 37th place finish. He's 6th in points, just 81 out of 3rd. He's 7th on the grid. After last week, Jeff Burton came to Richmond with a lot of capital and a brand new car. Tonight he hopes to decrease the point deficit with a surplus of speed and cash in with a victory in Virginia.
Robert Lutz, Chief Executive Officer of Exide. And now for the most dramatic words in the world of professional sports, here is Robert Lutz.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
5 of the top 10 qualifiers in tonight's race here at Richmond have never won a Winston Cup points race. But when we look at the guy that's on the pole tonight, that's Mike Skinner. He's got 2 trophies to his record. Those both came from races in Japan. Mike Skinner is on the pole tonight, the 4th of his career. But it's the first time he's ever had a pole on a track smaller than 2.5 miles. Most everybody believes that Tony Stewart's first Winston Cup win could happen anytime. Both drivers up here on the front row know that they can't paint themselves into a corner. They have to keep hammering away at the competition. The team needs to cut 4 or 5 great pit stops, and maybe, just maybe, one of these guys will nail down their first victory. Now, row 2 has Mr. Richmond. That's Rusty Wallace. He's a 6-time winner here, and he's reeled off 14 consecutive top 10s. Rusty is bound and determined to score career win number 50 before Jeff Gordon.
But there are 40 others hoping to win here tonight also. And Ray, all pit stalls are along the front stretch here at Richmond International Raceway, unlike last week at Darlington. when those pinning on the backstretch were at a decided disadvantage. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And NASCAR, the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, invites you to settle down for an evening of racing. And we'll see if Dale Jarrett can stop the trend that has seen his lead reduced to only 168. 4 of the top 10 separated by 31 points or less. We will run 400 laps here tonight for a purse of almost $2 million. The pit window between laps 115 and 125. Dale Jarrett holds the race record. Now let's take a look at the Everstart Walmart lineup. Mike Skinner has his 4th career pole and 2nd of 1999. Tony Stewart will be on the front row for the 5th time this year. In the 2nd row, Rusty Wallace with 6 wins here alongside is Bobby Labonte. I'm Bob Jenkins. Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons are in the booth with me here tonight. Qualifying, of course, was last evening. We see a lot of good drivers, Ned, that have qualified for the middle or the back of the pack.
Yeah, I don't think it matters where you start here, Bob, to have a chance to win. Of course, if you're farther back, you do have a better chance of getting caught up in someone else's problems. But this racetrack is wide. We've seen in the last couple of nights here that 2-groove racing on the bottom and the high side. It seems that there's more passing on the high side now than we've seen in a long, long time here at the Richmond International Raceway. Just depends on how you got your car set up.
And if these guys that start back there in the 11th row, 12th row on back, if they can just find that perfect setup on the bottom of the racetrack, there's not going to be anyone down there. Well, very few cars are going to be down there because the top groove up on the top of the racetrack seems to be the fastest way around. The last couple of nights, that's what we've seen anyway.
Ricky Rudd will start the car tonight. He did not qualify it. Dick Trickle did. Ricky has had a bout with food poisoning. Dale Earnhardt stands way back on the inside of row number 17. Now, nobody who tried in 2nd round qualifying was able to get into the field, so essentially, the way we left you with qualifying yesterday afternoon is the way they will start, and you're looking now at the provisional starters with Robert Presley beginning from the 43rd position. We have 5 drivers that were unable to qualify for the field. Jack Sprague in the 45 car, from which Rich Bickle was released last week. Dave Marcus, Hut Strickland, Stan Barrett, and Tom Baldwin were also unable to get into the field. How about our on-board cameras, BP?
Todd Bodine, the State Fair Corn Dogs onboard camera, starts back in 34th. Sterling Marlin, the Coors Light onboard camera. Sterling starts 25th. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Budweiser onboard, starts in 21st. Mark Martin, the Valvoline Ford, starts in the 20th position. Dale Jarrett Ford, Quality Care, trying to increase that points lead, starts in 13th. Jeff Burton, the Exide Batteries Ford, starts in 7th. Bobby Labonte is carrying her Circuit City onboard camera tonight, starts in the 4th position. Rusty Wallace, Miller Lite, starts in 3rd. And on the pole, Mike Skinner, the Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse.
The flash bulbs are going off all around the racetrack as the field comes along for a warm-up lap. 104,000 in the stands and in the suites here. It's a 3/4 mile oval. The front stretch 1,290 feet. The back stretch 860. The banking is at 14 degrees in the corners. Along the front stretch here, it's 8 degrees and almost a flat back stretch. The field right now is in the backstretch, and we should be getting the green flag this time around. 400 laps of racing in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400. We're glad you could be with us here tonight. Hope you'll stick around for what is always a very exciting and interesting race here at Richmond International Raceway. Mike Skinner, Tony Stewart are on the front row. The pace car is off the track, and the green is out. advantage down the backstretch, and does for the moment.
Boy, it looks like Talladega. They're running side by side here after a couple of laps.
And Stewart will lead lap number 2. That's the 11th race that Stewart has led in his rookie season. We're on board with Rusty.
After a few laps, as these tires get hot and they start wearing, then all these drivers will start moving up the racetrack, trying to find that grip. Bobby Labonte trying to make it look like he wants to make it 3 abreast. And Mike Skinner on the bottom of the racetrack goes back in front of Tony Stewart. Oh, and he goes.
Well, that's a tricky place coming off of turn 2. It's a pretty sharp corner. And if you don't get the traction you need, you see what happens there. Tony Stewart just went right back up there.
Former Rookie of the Year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition in '97, Mike Skinner doing battle with the driver who will undoubtedly win Rookie of the Year honors this year. Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are running side by side. Jr. had the fastest car in happy hour.
Started in 21st position, has worked his way up to 17th already, and DJ started 13th. He's back to 18th.
He was down on the inside of the racetrack. His car was not working down there, so he decided to move up on the high side. But Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car seems to be working down there on the low side, so he's moving right on up.
Side-by-side battle there between Rusty Wallace and Kenny Wallace for position. And some battling going on back here in the middle of the field. Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. is to the inside of Bill Elliott as they battle for the 15th spot.
Flame coming out of Rick Mast's car, number 98, as he decelerates into the turn. Here's the battle for second place.
Mike Skinner hanging on, but on the inside of the racetrack, Bobby Labonte tries to get the advantage, does not. Tony Stewart begins to creep away from everyone. Last lap, he was above 122 miles an hour. Everybody else was in the 121 or 120 area.
I saw some smoke back there. I don't know if the cars made contact or if someone has a problem. Back off turn 2, there was.
I think Rusty Wallace and Jeffrey Bodine might have been pretty close coming off of turn 2 over there, and they might have touched and just created a little bit of tire smoke.
This battle for second continues as Skinner is still trying to hold off the challenge of Bobby Labonte, and right behind Skinner are 3 other cars, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Wallace, and Jeff Burton.
Great run for Kenny Wallace in that Square D Chevrolet. Glued between 2 guys who get around this racetrack very, very well, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton. Bobby Labonte can't go to the outside if he wants to because there's cars there.
Get a report from Ray Dunlap on pit road regarding Jeff Burton, who is currently 6th.
Well, Bob, they just came on the radio, and Jeff Burton says, I may have brushed the wall a bit on the backstretch. Crew Chief Frank Stoddard says, make sure your tires are okay. Looks like he's still holding his position on the racetrack.
Well, there was a real jam up over in the backstretch that last lap, too, wasn't there?
Boy, there really was. I thought there was going to be a big wreck, but everybody slowed down and brought it back in. But back there about 16th through 20th position. It's just the last time around. We'll take a look. Here's Dale Jarrett down on the inside. Rick Mast got loose coming off the turn and had to back off. Whoa. That's what happened. You see how Ward Burton almost lose it. Mark Martin was right there. He got loose as well. We'll look for Mark's in-car camera. Mark Martin's coming right up on Ward Burton. Boom. Hits him a little bit there. I'll tell you, they were very fortunate. Some great race driving there.
And we see the damage to the nose of Ward Burton's Caterpillar Pontiac. And we also saw him slide that right front tire. Watch Jeff Burton drive to the inside, but he can't get that grip off the corner to take over second spot.
Jeff Gordon's car is really good here tonight. He said in an interview during RPM today that he felt very good about his car in the last practice, and looks like it's going good down on the inside. But it is tough to get that grip that you need down there.
Watching from Bobby Labonte, and once again through the middle of the corner, Gordon is very good, but cannot pick up the position from Skinner as he is good down the straightaways.
But he gets that momentum off the corner and gets that bite, gets that grip off the corner to get him down the straightaway. And the guys on the inside, there's just nothing they can do about it. Now Jeff goes up just as high as he can, trying to get his angle, and he finally takes over that second spot.
And again, while all this is happening behind him, Tony Stewart has opened up a 1.5-second lead on now Gordon, Stewart, or rather Skinner, and Bobby Labonte with Kenny Wallace running in 5th, Jeff Burton 6th.
Back to Jeff Burton a little bit ago, we saw him smoke that right front tire almost exactly like we saw Jerry Nadeau last summer at Darlington.
Well, there is the leader, Tony Stewart, as now 17 laps have been completed in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Gordon is second, followed by Labonte and Skinner. ESPN's coverage of the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400 from Richmond being brought to you by the Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. Hey, race fans, this Bud's for you. And by the EverStart battery, all the cold-breaking power your truck, car, boat, or mower will ever need. Available at Walmart. SportsCenter coming up after the conclusion of our race here. The Red Sox and the Yankees history, part of the fabric that makes up Major League Baseball. A great game today. Could younger sister Serena Williams atone for her sister's loss to Martina Hingis in yesterday's U.S. Open semifinals? And also a wrap-up on tonight's NASCAR Winston Cup race from here at Richmond. That's at SportsCenter at 11 o'clock, coming up right after our coverage of the race. And we will be coming back here live for an interview with the winner or with anyone else who played a significant role in the race. Tony Stewart, who led 225 of the 500 laps at Bristol, is out in front once again. Doctor?
And guys, a few minutes ago, Greg Zippodelli, Tony's crew chief, reminded Tony, said, hey, little buddy, you got to take it easy on those tires. Remember, we got to go about 125 laps on fuel. And Tony said, guess what? I am taking it easy. This outside group is just that good.
And before we went to break, I said that Jeff Burton slid there. Obviously, Ward Burton had slid the right front tire, similar to what Jerry Nadeau did in the M&M's car down in Darlington.
Bobby Labonte is closing in on Tony Stewart. Here's our AutoZone on-track interval with laps 22 through 26. You see the interval was reduced by 0.7 of a second.
Check Bobby Labonte, 4 straight laps at 22.4. That's what a crew chief loves to see, that consistent lap after lap, same speed.
Back in the field a little bit. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. running with Dale Jarrett and Jeremy Mayfield. And they are running back in 13th, 14th, and 15th. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 4th race of 1999. He will run one more this year. And we have a change of leadership as Bobby Labonte takes over the top spot from Stewart.
Well, Bobby was catching a pretty good clip, and then Stewart did not fight him because that's the teammate. He said Bobby needs those 5 bonus points for leading a lap, and so he said, come on up here and do it. Maybe you've have a better groove here than I have, and I'll follow you around for a little bit.
Now Tony Stewart is saying to Greg Zippodelli, hey, tell Jimmy Maycar to tell Bobby Labonte to back off and save those tires.
For a taste of the race, here's our State Fair Corn Dogs telemetry with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
The seat goes down to just over 90 miles per hour. And it comes down the front stretch. He'll go up to about 149 miles per hour. And there he's off the brakes as he comes off turn 2. And down the backstretch, he'll not be quite as fast or turn as many RPMs. And you can see he uses all the brakes that he has trying to get this car slowed down. And Bobby Labonte got those 5 bonus points. So Tony Stewart goes back in front.
I think he actually slowed down so Bobby could catch up to him and get those 5 bonus points, which is good. That's what teammates are for.
Labonte led 3 laps. Skinner earlier led 3, but other than that, it's been all Tony Stewart.
One car slowing on the backstretch looked like Robert Presley. to having a problem heading into the pit area.
Kenny Wallace and Steve Park run 6th and 7th. Here's a Napa Field summary for you with, first of all, the Manufacturers Championship battle, which Ford leads right now. Jeff Burton, the best of the Ford contingent. You see Kenny Wallace there in 6th spot, as he tries to hold off the Chevrolet challenge of Steve Park. And Park takes the spot. So move him up to 6th. Wallace goes back to 7th.
Oh, 98 has hit the wall. Rick Mast. Oh, he's treating Woody Woodpecker really bad. See the damage to the right side of his car.
This is Rick Mast's 300th NASCAR Winston Cup start. And bear in mind, he is the only driver now in 1999 who does not have a DNF.
You see that right front tire is flat, and whether that was why he hit the wall or as a result of him hitting the wall, it's too bad.
Well, he finds his pit box here on the main straightaway, and the crew now begins to go to work on the Team Woody Ford Taurus. The leader, meanwhile, now begins to encounter some traffic, putting a lap on David Green in the 41 and coming up on Brett Bodine. Green runs 41st and Bodine 40th. Tony Stewart leads Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Mike Skinner, and Jeff Burton. Those are the top 5 with 36 of 400 laps completed. Back at Richmond International Raceway and in Rico County, Virginia, Tony Stewart continues to lead. Jeremy Mayfield is in a heap of trouble. He shredded that right front.
He certainly did. He's been able to get it back to the pits, but it's flat, Jerry.
Indeed, that right front tire had started going down, and before Jeremy could even cue the radio, he was up into the outside fence. Now Peter Suspenzo and the rest of his crew having to lift the car up and now work on that mangled right front fender. Meanwhile, Jeremy losing laps under Green here at Richmond. Right side tires going on. We had not heard or seen of any tire problems at all today, even in happy hour when they were pushing the button a little bit. Now while he's here, they'll go ahead and change left side tires. And Jeremy will lose at least 2 laps and maybe 3 or more as the left side tires are still going on. Phil Weber?
Okay, Rick Mast has been on and off of pit road. He blew a right front tire before he hit the wall. The toe's knocked out about 3 or 4 inches. They're going to try and work with that. He came back in to string it. There's already early concern here on pit road that this is a very similar problem to what we saw here in May. Remember how well Dale Jarrett ran in that race? He had no problems with his tires. He had a smooth handling car. A lot of guys were cooking their tires when the handle went away. Already speculation that could be the problem. It might have happened to the 98. Drivers have been warned by crew chiefs already on the radio. Watch your tires.
And we have another car that has gone behind the wall. That's Robert Presley in the 77 car. He, too, is back behind the wall getting repairs. Bobby Labonte continues to thread his way through traffic, passing Todd Bodine at the bottom of the racetrack. Bobby Labonte is second. Right behind him is Jeff Gordon. In comes Mike Skinner, but they have Wally Dallenbach between them.
Some very good race cars have gone a lap down here in less than 50 laps.
31 cars on the lead lap. There goes Jarrett, Rusty, Elliott, Jimmy Spencer. They're running back in about 15th, 16th, 17th. And back down to Jerry Punch.
Let me show you what's left of the right front tire here that came off of Jeremy Mayfield's car. It's hard to see, but you don't see any blistering on what's left of the tread. This part of the sidewall is still intact here. And at least 12 to 14 crew chiefs have come down to look at this tire. They stopped off at Rick Mast's pit and determined his right front tire was cut. And they've also determined this tire must have been cut. They don't see any blistering, no separation of the sidewall. They're hoping it was a cut tire, and that is all.
And Jeremy, of course, was coming off one of his best finishes of 1999, a third last week at Darlington.
One thing you notice on that tire that Jerry Punch just showed you, no interliner. At a racetrack like Richmond, they run tubeless tires with no interliners.
The 18 and the 24 are battling for position, and one is up high and one is down low.
Yeah, Bobby Labonte in the 18 is trying to get around Ward Burton, who has gone a lap down. Benny mentioned that he'd slid the tires on that Caterpillar Pontiac a little bit earlier, and I think that has affected the handling to some degree, and now Jeff Gordon has caught up with Bobby Labonte.
And Bill Weber has more on Ward Burton.
And then you're exactly right. Right after that incident on the track, Ward radioed in. He said it feels like an air pressure problem, but they speculated it's because he slid the tires. Also, they warned him to watch the temperature gauges because the front of that car is bashed in. Now, Mark Martin has a similar problem, only with the possibility of overheating. His car is running well. He has moved forward in the field, but he also got a little bit of front end damage early here in the race. So far, though, 53 laps in, not a major problem for the 6. The 22 is just sliding back to the field.
You can see the damage there on Mark Martin's car.
You see this gap here on the hood? That means that he's hit the front of the car. That should be level with the cowl opening there, and you see that gap.
He hit Ward Burton when we saw that deal on the backstretch there when Rick Mast got loose, and here it is. As you see Mark come up on Ward Burton, come off the turn, Ward slows down, and right there is where Mark hit, and that hood went up there, and it stayed there.
And Terry Labonte has hit the wall and hit it hard. Boy, he's narrowed up that car as it comes down the backstretch.
Oh, he sure has.
Down to Bill Weber.
Terry Labonte radioed in. The right front tire blew out. It blew out. He just radioed that into his crew.
And here's the replay. He was right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And right there you saw it as he went into the turn and just shot him right up into the wall.
And already we see Dale Jarrett has dodged one bullet tonight, Ned. He was right behind Terry Labonte as the caution flag gives out. Watch that right front tire. Watch this car go straight. Bam.
Yeah, that's when you're down on the bottom of the racetrack and that right front tire goes, it's a long way towards that wall, and it's going to hit it hard and at a bad angle as well.
And looks like this is about as far as Terry Labonte could get his car. He's out of the car. He's sitting over at the entrance to turn 3. See, I think that's John Hendrick. No, maybe it's not.
Oh, there's a
fire.
Fire in the car. Firefighting equipment right there. Terry has finished 9th or better, including 3 wins in 9 of the last 12 races here. It will not be a good finish for him tonight.
That's a good sign to see him walking away. I know he's frustrated. At least he is walking away.
So our first caution has come out on lap number 58. Field slowed for the first time. The firefighting equipment has the blaze out, it would appear. Now the tow truck will get it off the racetrack and the apron of the racetrack. 57 laps completed. It's still Tony Stewart out front at Richmond International. Back at Richmond International Raceway, just outside the city limits of Richmond and in Henrico County, Virginia. We have had some pit stops as a result of this first caution of the evening brought out when Terry Labonte hit the wall. Let's go back and take a look at the pit stops involving the 3 drivers who were first, second, and third at the time.
Tony Stewart, the 20 car, was the leader. 18 of Bobby Labonte was second place. Now they're going to spend a long time on the right rear. See, watch the guy go under the car on Bobby Labonte's car. And I guess he pulled a rubber out of the right rear spring, but we can see just how much extra time that took, because Jeff Gordon's rolling. Tony Stewart is leaving the pits, and Jeff Burton goes by.
Mark Martin was running, I think, like 12th or 13th, and he came out in 6th. He made a great pit stop.
But Labonte dropped all the way back to 7th from 2nd, and Jeremy Mayfield is at the front of the field, but he is not on the lead lap.
See Jeffrey Bodine there in 3rd place. So a great pit stop by the power team pit crew.
Let's take a look at our Coke pit summary. And Bobby Labonte from 2nd to 7th. Gordon picked up a position. Skinner lost one, and Jeff Bodine got 2 spots during the pit stop. And this is why we are under our first caution of the evening.
See Terry Labonte in the Kellogg Chevrolet as he went into turn 3. Apparently the right front tire let go and shot him right up into the wall.
And from Dale Jarrett's perspective, he was right behind him.
Man, that right front tire goes flat. Just the car goes straight. There's nothing the driver can do.
Jerry Punch.
Well, the two teammates sitting down near me, the 18 and 20 cars, both had exactly the same problem. Tony Stewart had complained of being tight in the middle and loose off, and so had Bobby Labonte. The adjustments, though, were a little bit different. For Tony Stewart, they made an air pressure change in the back of the car to help tighten him up coming off. Now, with Bobby Labonte, as you saw, it took a rubber out of the right rear to tighten him up coming off the corner. So both drivers, different adjustments for the same problem. Let's check in with Bill.
Well, let's tell you about Jeff Gordon. Obviously, they did not make any changes on that car. The only thing they did make was a slight air pressure adjustment because those were going to be brand new sticker tires. Ray Evernham looked at the right front tires, said there was not a wear problem. They did show a little right rear wear, right rear wear, which is tough to say, but that they kind of expected tonight. They don't think that's a big problem at all. His car's handling well. They had a great pit stop. Also, an excellent pit stop for Jeffrey Bodine, who's running very well here tonight. No changes to that car. No tire problems on the 60, Ray.
Well, Bill, Dale Earnhardt had a good pit stops, too. He started in 33rd. He's up to 17th right now. Earnhardt had called in on the radio, and he said, I'd really like to put a rubber in the right rear spring, but the crew chief said that's going to take us too long. Let's try to keep that track position. They went down 2 rounds on the track bar on the right rear, but no rubber this time. Earnhardt is going to keep them updated.
Should be going back to green before too long. The safety vehicles are completing their work as we get the overhead shot from the Pennzoil Copter Can, hovering over the beautiful clear skies here in Richmond. Aside from Thursday night when the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event was slightly shortened by rain, we've had beautiful weather here. No rain predicted until at least Tuesday. 1 to go, and we'll go back to racing.
Okay, folks, sit down. We'll interrupt the racetrack and have some action here in just a second.
Sit down. Are you kidding? When they get ready for a restart, everybody gets up.
29 cars on the lead lap, so Tony Stewart, even though they had run only about 60 laps when this caution came out, had lapped up through the 30th place car. And was on track to lap a lot more until the caution came out.
That was Sterling Marley. Here we see Bobby Labonte back behind Mark Martin. Bobby is and Rusty Wallace.
Green.
Takes the green from 11th position.
Ted Musgrave up in there in 8th position, battling right amongst the leaders.
He had a great pit stop.
There we see him. That's Bobby Labonte looking out the back bumper of the Circuit City onboard camera at Ted Musgrave. And he's not feeling well tonight.
And Jeffrey Bodine is battling Jeff Gordon for the 2nd position. Jeffrey Bodine made the best move of the race a year ago here at Richmond. He started 42nd and finished 13th. And he's got that power team car running well here tonight, trying to get 2nd from Gordon, but having a bit of difficulty.
Even with new tires, it's still tough to pass down on the inside, but it looks like he's pulled it off now.
And Jeff Burton has moved up to 4th spot.
And then Mark Martin by Mike Skinner.
So despite the damage on the front end of that Mark Martin car, it's running well.
Yes, it is. He was coming up through the field even after he got his bump. He was moving right on up through. He started 20th and got up to about 13th.
This is Mike Skinner's view of Mark Martin. He gained 6 positions during the pit stop. He came in 12th and came out 6th. And here's a Napa Field summary showing you the points as of now. Nobody in the top 5 moving. Mike Skinner up to 10th. Ward Burton came into this race in that spot.
And as Bobby Labonte moves to the bottom of the racetrack to try to get by Skinner, here comes Musgrave up on the outside.
Jeremy Mayfield has gotten 1 of his laps back. He's still 2 laps down.
And
look at Jeffrey Bodine, will you?
On the bottom of the racetrack, he's getting a grip down there. And here comes Jeff Burton to try to get by Jeff Gordon, the battle for third spot.
Jeff Gordon's car doesn't seem to be quite as good as it was before, at least on new tires.
Ray is with Terry Labonte.
You all right, Terry?
Yeah.
How's the race car?
I don't think it's so good. The thing was working good, and it was actually a little bit loose, and I don't know if I ran over something or the right front blew out or what, but it did, and we got in the wall, and I think we're done for the night.
There's been 4 or 5 cars in the wall already with the sealer on this racetrack and a new tire. That's always a problem.
I don't know. We had some trouble here last time we were here. Some of the guys didn't, but some did, so I don't know.
Okay, Terry Labonte is okay. He's walking around down here in the pit.
Check Martin out. Man, he goes by Burton, moves into the 4th position. Martin started back in 20th position. Check this out. And has worked his way all the way up to 4th in just 73 laps.
That 20th starting position was his worst starting position here since the fall race of 1988. And his teammate Jeff Burton is behind him. They're running 4th and 5th.
Jeff Burton running a little bit higher than Martin.
Jeff worked a lot today on the setup of his Exide Ford and trying to run up in that second groove.
And another car who has been consistently good tonight, Bobby Hamilton. He's in 16th right now, but he was ahead of that before the pit stops, Ned.
Yeah, he lost a lot of positions on that pit stop, but he had come up through there to pass Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte and Mark Martin. He passed a lot of race cars and was on the move towards the front. Had a bad pit stop. Now he's gotten back into traffic there a little bit, but it seemed it took about 20 laps for his car to really come in before, so we'll see how it works this time.
He had moved up to 10th position before the caution, dropped back to 22nd, and now is up to 16th.
As Dale Earnhardt gets on the inside, passes Bobby Hamilton. He's on the inside of Bill Elliott. This is a battle for 15th, 16th, 17th. Steve Park back there in 18th.
Now Earnhardt making that inside groove work. And there comes Bobby Labonte also. Bill Elliott still using that high groove.
And looks like Hamilton's going to take that spot away. He does.
And Jeff Gordon and Jeffrey Bodine continue to mix it up. Bodine running 2nd right now. Gordon is running 3rd. And both of them are chasing Tony Stewart, who has about a 3/4 of a second lead now. Stewart has led 72 of the first 79 laps. We'll take a break and be right back with more from Richmond International Raceway. Welcome back. There you see the skyline of downtown Richmond, Virginia. And we're just a few miles away, and in Rico County, they call Richmond International Raceway the action track, and this is why. This is some of the activity that we've seen already. In the first 85 laps of this race, Terry Labonte suffering the toughest hit. Greg Zipadelli and Joe Gibbs look on as their driver, Tony Stewart, has a 1-second advantage on Jeffrey Bodine. And the driver of their other car, Joe Gibbs' other car, the 18 of Bobby Labonte, has dropped back to 9th spot.
Evidently that chassis adjustment we saw the crew make on that pit stop when they did something in the right rear, we're assuming take out a spring rubber, did not work very well. Jerry Punch, what are they saying?
Well, Benny, you're exactly right. What they did, they took that spring rubber out of the right rear to try to tighten the car up coming off the corner. Now, Bobby Labonte was told by Jimmy Maycar, it's going to be awfully tight for the 30 or 40 laps. You're going to have a push. That's exactly what he's got. The car is pushing so much, he can't turn it. But if they get a long green flag run, where everyone else starts to get loose coming off, watch for the 18 to make his move.
Bill Elliott and Kyle Petty are battling for the 19th position. And right behind him is Sterling Marlin. And Kyle Petty has some damage on the bumper of his car. Now, when he won here in '86, Kyle became the first third-generation driver to win a NASCAR Winston Cup race. That was in February of 1986. His only win here at Richmond.
He was driving for the Wood Brothers at the time. And it's one of those situations. He was running in 5th place, having a great day, but the 4 cars in front of him wrecked. And went on to win, but he had to be in position to do that, so that was good.
And right in front of Bill Elliott is a battle between Chad Little and Dale Earnhardt. And they are trying to decide who runs 17th, and Chad is going to at the moment. And now we have indeed seen Bobby Labonte come back and repass Dale Earnhardt Jr.
We saw Dale Earnhardt just a little bit ago up there racing with Bobby Hamilton, with Steve Park. Hamilton, Park, both have been able to get by Dale Earnhardt. Now Chad Little goes by.
Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott racing for the 19th position.
Jerry, what's the tire situation? We have seen some problems here already.
And Bob, that's been a major cause for concern among the crew chiefs down here. In fact, Goodyear just came down and surveyed the tires on the lead cars. They checked them all, but they came down here and even took a torch to melt some of the rubber away. And the Goodyear engineers saw no excessive wear, no blistering, and no separation. Now, I've been listening to some of the crew chiefs trying to decide what may have happened, and what they're thinking is, what they're speculating might have happened was, a number of cars here are running 6.5 degrees of camber or more in the right front. He said here at Richmond, that's good for a few laps, and that right front tire just won't take it.
Battle here between Steve Park and Kenny Irwin.
And Steve Park takes over the 15th position. What Jerry Punch is talking about was 6.5 degrees camber. That's leaning the tire in on the right front and leaning it in towards the engine. So you end up running with just on the inside of the tire. That's the only part that takes the punishment. Just a very narrow band of tire.
Another taste of the race from State Fair Corn Dogs. Here's Todd Bodine's telemetry. He gets up to about 137 miles an hour before hitting the brakes hard and going down to about 90.
His RPMs are not as high as we had seen earlier on the other car that we looked at, about 8,600 RPMs, but that sounds like a lot, but there's some of them out there that are turning 9,000 or more.
And one reason Todd Bodine is not showing the RPM is because he's not running as fast as some of these other cars. Just not getting through the corners, not being able to hit the accelerator and drive it off the corner. Here comes Jimmy Spencer, the Winston car, up behind Bill Elliott. That's up the 20th position. Kyle Petty right behind, watching all this.
Sure, looking low, making a good run coming off the corner.
In the second half of the season, since the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, Jimmy Spencer has accumulated the 8th highest amount of points, having a great second year. Second half of the season, I should say. Finished second, of course, at Bristol, and last week was in the lead and decided to make a pit stop, and that, of course, resulted in his finishing in 15th. Jeff Gordon is trying the high side on Jeffrey Bodine, the battle for second. Yeah, it does.
Jeffrey's car really had been working good on the low side when he had those new tires on there, but as those tires got heated up, then started slipping up a little bit with him on the racetrack.
That's exactly what Bobby Labonte, Jerry Punch was talking about. That's exactly what he was trying to fix when they made that adjustment. On these long runs, his car was getting too loose off the corner. Right here, as he stands on the gas, comes off the corner, the back end one come around. You can't stand that. And it gets worse and worse.
There's the leader, Tony Stewart. How much of a lead does he have? Well, it's that much. On the racetrack, it is just about 1.87 seconds. Tony Stewart has led 94 laps so far. Gordon is second, followed by Jeffrey Bodine, Mike Skinner, and Mark Martin.
Triple pits under caution, Tony Stewart, then the 24, Gordon, and the 60. All on pit road for the 24 car. It's 4 tires and 1 can of fuel, no changes. Jerry Punch.
Right side tires already on the 60 car, top of your screen. Gordon, great pit stop. He's down and away, 16.3 seconds. Bodine out at 17.7. Waiting for Stewart now, 16.4. Stewart pitting further down pit road, and that's the pit stop. The best pit stop of the three, Jeff Gordon at 16.3 seconds.
It's a mad scramble off pit road as everybody tries to get in line. We are under caution because of an incident involving Kyle Petty and Daryl Waltrip. Here it is.
I don't want that in that deal. It like Daryl got down in the corner and the brakes didn't work or something, because he just gets in the side of Kyle and pushed them both up towards the outside wall. And I don't believe, there we see him, I don't believe either one of them made any contact with the wall, but they certainly flat spotted some tires, and Daryl has damage to the right front fender anyway.
Kyle was on the lead lap. Daryl Waltrip was a lap down when that incident occurred. Petty remains on the lead lap. There are 104,000 people jammed into this 3/4-mile racetrack here at Richmond International Raceway, enjoying the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400. Well, the action track has had its share already in the first 108 laps. Some teams experiencing some tire problems. That was from Jeremy Mayfield's. The Goodyear engineers burning some of the debris off the tires to check on them specifically. They say perhaps too much camber has caused some of the problems that we have seen here tonight. The green flag comes out.
Green flag.
Car is a lap down in the 30th position. Good news from that team involving Kenny Schrader, who apparently will go to the 36 car in the year 2000. Ray has an update on the 43 and the 8. Ray.
Well, Bob, Johnny Andretti gained a couple of spots on that round of pit stops. He's up to 10th now. They took 1 pound of air pressure out of the right rear. John says the car is very good. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a little bit tight in the middle, so they raised the track bar on the number 8 car. They lost 1 spot on that round of pit stops. I think he went out in 12th.
And is currently running in 12th spot as he looks back at Kenny Irwin. The car in 13th. The 11 car, Brett Bodine, the Paycheck car, is a lap down.
Most of those cars running down on the inside are the lap cars, except Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's been running down on the low side most of the night.
Dale Earnhardt on the outside of Kyle Petty.
Back in the 21st, 22nd position.
And there is Ricky Rudd. He has, as we told you earlier, been ill all weekend. Didn't qualify the car, but is feeling well enough to drive here tonight.
That 01 car is Ron Hornaday. A track foam car out of Felix Amata's stable.
Already a lap down in 38th spot. 4th, 5th, and 6th. The 60 of Jeffrey Bodine, the 31 of Mike Skinner, and the 99 of Jeff Burton.
And right behind them is Rusty Wallace in 7th place.
And right behind Rusty is Dale Jarrett.
Picked up the spot on the pit stop, even though Rusty beat him out of the pits. He was running in front of him, but Jarrett beat Bobby Labonte out also, so a little shuffling around during the pit stop.
14 straight top 10 finishes here at Richmond since this race in 1992 for Rusty Wallace. He and Mark Martin have, for the most part, owned Richmond International Raceway in the past few years.
The yellow car on the inside is Todd Bodine, the Statler Corn Dog Pontiac. Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte trying to get by Todd.
Todd gives them plenty of room, so they both do get by. Here comes Todd back on the inside of Labonte.
Rusty Wallace is really trying to make that bottom groove work. I think he realizes if he could find something down there no one else could find, he would have a huge advantage.
I think you're right. He could make it work.
Joe Nemechek, Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, and Ricky Rudd.
23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and on back.
On back includes Johnny Benson, also Ken Schrader and Jimmy Spencer. And they are the last cars on the lead lap. Spencer running in 29th spot. Fifth place battle involves Mike Skinner and Jeff Burton. And looking at that battle is Rusty Wallace.
He's right there on their back bumper.
Now the back bumper, the Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse Chevrolet. He looks back at the 99 cars. They're going by Wally Dallenbach, the other Budweiser car. Dallenbach is in 31st. He is a lap down to these guys. As is the 36 car of Jerry Nadeau, the M&M's car.
Burton looks to the inside. Nothing doing. Mike Skinner won his second pole of 1999 here yesterday. Led 3 laps in the early going, but now battling for the 5th spot and is about to lose it to Jeff Burton. In fact, does lose it to Burton.
That was impressive. Burton able to make that pass on the bottom of the racetrack.
Now Rusty Wallace comes up there and said, well, if Burton can do it, let me try it.
Jerry Punch has more on Mike Skinner.
Guys, Mike has radioed to Larry McReynolds and saying the car is just too free in the middle of the corner and then very free coming off. He wants them to go back to their original air pressure next time by and make a track bar adjustment. So obviously the adjustments they've made are not to Mike's liking. So I bet Larry said we'll go back to where we were at the beginning on our next stop.
There's Larry McReynolds calling the shots for Mike Skinner. The last pole winner to win a race here at Richmond International was in 1988. Davey Allison. That was the very first race on this 3/4-mile racetrack.
Rusty Wallace just backs off, lets Bobby Labonte go rather than waste time racing side by side with him and losing ground. He decides to let Bobby Labonte have that position.
He made an adjustment on Bobby Labonte's car, and it seems to be working much better than it was before that last pit stop.
Tony Stewart just continues to set the pace here. His advantage is now 1.17 seconds over Jeff Gordon. 125 of 400 laps completed. Back at Richmond International Raceway, 3 guesses. Who does that boot belong to? Is there any doubt?
No, it's the King.
The King, Richard Petty. It's always nice to see stars from other sports enjoying NASCAR Winston Cup racing, and we have a couple of former NFL players. There is Charlie Taylor and Tony Dorsett in the 43 pit.
Both the Petty cars this weekend have the players incorporated on their cars, advertising the products that these guys endorse. Charlie Taylor.
Ray Dunlap has more.
Bob, what a day it was down here in the media center. A bunch of great NFL players. Over in Kyle Petty's pit, we've got Dick Butkus, Willie Lanier, and L.C. Greenwood. All the time when I grew up, I was a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. It was a big thrill for me to meet L.C. Greenwood today. But a lot of great players down here rooting on the 43 and the 44 car.
That's really cool to see these guys coming over here and enjoying racing. And of course, the season begins tomorrow. We've got a big game for you at 8:15 tomorrow night as we begin our Sunday night coverage. Great rivalry as the Cleveland Browns are back, and they're going to be battling the Pittsburgh Steelers. NFL Prime Time begins the coverage at 7:30. That takes you right up to the kickoff at 8:15 tomorrow night on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Somebody is a Cleveland Browns fan here in Richmond, Virginia. I guess that's a mini dog pound, huh? Well, Tony Stewart's fiancee Krista looks on as her man Tony Stewart leads this race by 1.5 seconds over Jeff Gordon. About a 2 3/4 second, 2 3/10 second advantage over Mark Martin, who's running third. Jeffrey Badine's about 4 seconds back, and Bobby Labonte a little more than 5 1/4 back of Tony Stewart.
Chad Little just able to get by the Kenny Wallace car. That's Chad, the green John Deere car, Kenny Wallace. And back there, that's the battle for the 14th position as we see Ted Musgrave in the Remington car and also Sterling Marlin behind these guys.
They're running about a half a lap behind the leader.
Chad Little had a good run here last year, finished up in 12th position after starting 23rd. Back in 32nd position tonight and is in 14th. Sterling Marlin is giving chase to Ted Musgrave and Chad Little.
Let's check out the taste of the race from our folks at Bryan Foods. See what kind of RPM and miles per hour Sterling Marlin able to attain. As he goes down the backstretch, we'll probably see about 8,500. And he'll back off in the corner. The plane goes down to about 5,600 RPMs now. We should see somewhere around 87, 88.
Yep.
About at 88. Sterling running in 17th position. And a couple of yellow cars up in front of him there is Bobby Hamilton in the 4 car, the Kodak car, and Steve Park in the Pennzoil car. They are running 12th and 13th.
And ahead of them, Kenny Irwin runs in the 11th position. And just ahead of him is John Andretti, the Pro Players Association on the 43 car of Andretti.
Andretti running in the 10th position.
Dale Jarrett, our points leader, is 9th. There he is. Quality Care Ford credit. 36 car of Nadu is not on the lead lap. He is back in the 30th spot, but there is Rusty Wallace, who is on the lead lap in 8th position.
Right in front of Rusty Wallace is Mike Skinner, a pole sitter in the Lowe's Chevrolet. There he is.
And we got a glimpse up in front of him of the 99 car. There's Skinner. And there's Jeff Burton running in 6th position. And Bobby Labonte continues to move on up through the pack. He just got around to Jeff Bodine and has taken over the 4th position. Labonte was in 9th position on the restart after the last caution, so he's marching right on up through the field.
Bobby Labonte just a bit faster than Jeffrey on that last lap.
But not quite as fast as Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon.
There's the Jeremy Mayfield car. He's not on the lead lap. Here's the 3rd place car of Mark Martin going to the outside of Daryl Waltrip.
And you can see that these guys, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, have a pretty big advantage on Bobby Labonte. It's about 3 seconds.
And way up there is the 20 car of Tony Stewart, the leader of the race. All this from the Pennzoil Copter Cam. See that Ken Schrader has gone a lap down. He's back in 28th spot. So 27 cars now on the lead lap as we approach the 150 lap mark.
Ricky Rudd was just left not a few laps ago. Coming up now, Mike Wallace in the black number 32.
Mike in his 2nd NASCAR Winston Cup start of the year. His only other start prior to tonight was in the Daytona 500. We'll be right back. The men behind the wheel get the credit, but so often it's the men behind the wall that do the work and get these guys with good track position that allow them to win races. And the men behind the wall are working hard here tonight. And going behind the wall as the crew begins work on it now is the 7 car of Michael Waltrip. Ray, what's the problem with Michael?
Well, Bob, they've got a loose oil line on the number 7 car, and Michael said, we're not going to take a chance of that thing coming completely loose and putting the car in the fence, so they're going to the garage and try to fix it.
So Michael Waltrip is the 3rd car now, not on the track. The other car off the track is Rick Mast. Out of the race is Terry Labonte after a crash. And we're watching 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's Irwin, Park, and Andretti. Right behind them, Chad Little.
Andretti's lost several positions here in the last 10 laps. Kenny Irwin got by. Now Steve Park has gotten by. And Bobby Hamilton got by him and drove away. Hamilton now has moved up to the 10th position.
Saw quite a bit of smoke coming from that 7 car, and if the oil line was loose, it may have put down some oil on the track. There is no caution, and really we haven't seen any evidence of oil on the track. Michael was able to get down out of the groove very quickly.
He did, and haven't seen any cars doing any extra slipping and sliding.
We saw King Richard there a while ago, the owner of the 43 car. Linda Petty, his wife, we understand, fell and broke her arm a few days ago. We'd like to wish her a speedy recovery.
You can see there Rusty Wallace has passed Jeff Burton, has taken over the 7th position.
What's that all about? John Andretti's car wiggled bad off turn 4.
Tony Stewart is just coasting along. Interval 1.66 seconds, and really it hasn't varied from that over the last 20 or so laps. Been pretty consistent.
And very, very consistent. You see there's the 2nd place man, Gordon. There's the 3rd place man, Mark Martin. The others coming through. You see them.
And Dale Jarrett just picked up another spot, moving to 8th position, getting by the 99 of Jeff Burton.
And Jeff Burton, I've noticed he's running higher than anyone on the racetrack. It's like he really is desperately searching for some grip on that Exide Ford.
Boy, you got to give a call to Bobby Hamilton, who's got that car running well tonight, up in 10th position. He's the one just behind Burton. From Jeff Burton's bumper cam, little damage there on the front end of the Kodak Chevy.
He's ran into somebody.
He's been in some close quarters here tonight. He's passed a lot of race cars. He's had gotten up in the top 10 earlier, and then he had a bad pit stop and lost some position and came back up through there again, and here he comes again. On these long runs, his car seems to be good.
He's had 7 top 10 finishes here in the last 9 races, and he's up in the top 10 again, back in 9th. His last top 5 finish came here in the spring race. Finished 4th. A year ago, started 6th, finished 6th.
Saw Kenny Irwin go by a moment ago. He's been able to get by Steve Park and take over the 11th position. Watch how high the jet, well, we didn't see him, but he is really up on the racetrack. Like there's got to be some grip somewhere up there.
Yeah, and it seems like I've noticed several cars searching around, Benny, for the low groove, and some of them seem to be running as good down there, like Jimmy Spencer here. He comes down on the inside of John Andretti. Andretti's car just doesn't seem to handle anywhere on the racetrack right now. The longer he runs on that set of tires, the worse it seems to get.
Battle for 16th position.
Rusty Wallace has moved into 6th around Wow. We watched that slugfest.
Awfully close.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace did move around Mike Skinner and took over 6th. Here's Spencer looking down inside once again. Boy, that's tough down there to get traction. There are a few cars that have been able to get it, but Spencer is not one of them there right now. He can get down there, but he can't get the traction coming off the turn that he needs.
A Pennzoil copter cam can show you exactly how close it is. Some angles are difficult to tell, but that angle right there, for instance, flying right overhead shows how close they come.
Yeah, John decided not to force that issue any further. He said, okay, just go right ahead, because he knows they can't run as fast side by side as they can when they're singled out, because your line's taken away. And Chad Little is in the wall. Over in turn 2, caution is out.
Car still up against the wall. Third caution of the evening comes out on lap 169. The window net is down. Chad is moving around in there. Scrambling to get out of the race car. The 21 of Elliott Sadler trying to, and apparently successful in getting his lap back.
Chad Little's a little angry.
Yes, he is.
It's frustrating to be on the lead lap and having a good run going. Let's see, is he looking at somebody, or was it? He seems to be looking out that way, or did he cut a tire or have a tire go down?
Don't see any damage to the left side of the car like he made contact with anyone.
As a result of his 20th place finish at Darlington last week, he had moved up to 20th position in the point standings. Hit it pretty hard.
Yes, he did. And the leaders are in the pits.
And we go down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Mark Martin is in the Valvoline Ford. A little bit of damage to the hood. He's definitely made contact with someone. Mark said, let's put a half a round of bite in it. There goes the half a round. Fuel is in. They come around to the left side. Tires are going on right now. Pretty good pit stop. Bill Weber.
Jeff Gordon's car has been very good. They're concerned about burning up the right rear. They might have tightened him up just a little bit with air pressure to Jerry.
Not a single change on Tony Stewart's car, but a lot of changes going on in the car right in front of him. The 31 of Mike Skinner. Stewart now left side tires on. He is down and away, and he will be the first off. Then Bobby Labonte and Jeffrey Bodine.
Jeff Gordon won the battle off pit road, though. Mark Martin second. I think Tony's going to fall back into at least third position here.
Wow, that's going to be interesting to see. Tony Stewart passing somebody.
Other than the lap car?
Yeah.
Not something that we have seen a great deal of here tonight. The caution out on lap number 171, as others now not on the lead lap make their pit stops. Back in just a moment with more of the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400. Bobby Labonte stayed the same, and so did Jeffrey Bodine. Down to Jerry Punch.
And Bobby Labonte's pit stop, guys, remember they've taken that rubber out of the right rear before, and the car was a little bit tight. Well, it was still tight in the middle, but the car was too free getting in the corner and a little free coming off, so they put a round of wedge in it, hoping to help him getting in and help him be able to use that throttle coming off. So one round of bite in the 18 car. Let's check in with Bill.
Well, an outstanding run this evening for Jeffrey Bodine. In fact, he continues to run at the front of the pack. Now, this is a brand new race car that they just built. One of the programs that they thought was lacking in their entire operation was their short track program. So they finally got around to building a short track car, tested it, then brought it here. He was tight in that run early, then loosened up later. They tightened him up a little bit on that stop, sent him back out. Good run for Jeffrey Bodine. Here's Ray Dunlap.
Well, Bill, what a great night it was for Dale Earnhardt Jr. last night here, winning the Busch Series race, but tonight he's had a good bit of trouble. The team was late getting the car out onto pit road for the lineup today, so they've told them that they are going to take some test time away from them, or practice time away, when they go to Atlanta, because they didn't have the car out there. Then they just had a real long pit stop, a 21.6 second pit stop. Little Lee stalled the car when they put it down. Things not going that great, and to add to that, his brakes are going away.
He is, however, one of the 20 cars still remaining on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is shown in 18th position. We'll take another break before the restart here at Richmond. They have just taken the green flag to restart on lap number 178. We had 9 laps of caution. Jeff Gordon is the leader with Martin second and Stewart third.
Talking about the exhaust of Joe Nemechek's car, like he missed a shift or something on that restart, but certainly didn't lose much ground if he did.
75 car of Ted Musgrave had a good run going. He did have to come back in the pits during this caution for loose lug nuts. Has dropped him all the way back to the last car on the lead lap in 20th spot.
Jimmy Irwin must have had a hip problem as well because he's back in 19th. And look at this mess up front there as Tony Stewart goes by Mark Martin down on the inside.
And Stewart passes and gets back one position that he lost in the pits. Now he sets his eyes on the leader, Jeff Gordon.
So at the bottom of the screen there, Rick Mast coming out of the pits. He's been off the racetrack for quite a while. But as you said, he's the only driver that's finished all the races this year.
Yep.
So I guess he wants to keep that string going.
Well, he's 142 laps down, but back in the hunt.
That doesn't pay anything, but it's prestigious.
And Ned, the 28 car, did have to come back in for loose lug nuts also, so that's why he is back near the end of the lead lap. Jeffrey Bodine running in 5th spot. Alongside Joe Nemechek.
Mr. Wallace in 6th there. And the Earnhardts back there running together on the racetrack. They were 17th and 18th, but right now there's a battle for 3rd. Bobby Labonte trying to take it away from Mark Martin.
Close side-by-side racing between Bobby and Mark. Labonte on the bottom finally makes the pass. And there is that damage to it that Mark Martin got very early in the race when he ran into Ward Burton. Now Jeffrey Bodine challenges Mark for the 4th spot.
Mark's car maybe not quite as good as it was before because in the early going of the last time when after a caution he passed a lot of cars. This time he's getting passed.
It's been 22 races since Jeffrey Bodine had a top 10 finish. The last one was at Rockingham. He finished 8th. Second race of 1999. On board with Rusty Wallace.
Mark Martin gets that run down the backstretch, maintains that position on Jeffrey Bodine. I think that Mark Martin, when Bobby Labonte got by him, I think when Bobby squeezed up in front of him, that Mark Martin backed off the gas to let Bobby Labonte go. And I think that cost him his momentum and allowed Jeffrey Bodine to get alongside of him. And then those guys running side by side, not quite as fast as the leaders. And Jeffrey Bodine loses his spot to Rusty Wallace as he goes by on the outside.
Has the best finishing average of any driver here tonight, 5.4. Tony Stewart has caught Jeff Gordon. Didn't take him long.
No, it didn't. Boy, does he have a great race car tonight. Look at him just driving by, just like he was lapping him.
Man, Jeff Gordon led 18 laps. Now put Stewart back at the front of the field. He'll continue to add to his total, which right now is 164. After 24 races, let's compare the rookie seasons of Stewart and Gordon. Tony is 5th in points. Jeff, at this point in his rookie year of 93, was 9th in points. Tony has more top 10s and has a better average finish than Jeff Gordon.
Tony Stewart had a similar, he's had a lot of good runs this year, but he had a very similar run to this at Loudon, New Hampshire when they were there back in July. He led a good portion of that race. Unfortunately, ran out of gas near the end of the race and cost him his first victory. But he really, on these relatively flat racetracks, they have their program together.
And Tony Stewart has completed more laps this year in Winston Cup competition than any other driver, 6,602. He has a 0.4 of a second lead on Jeff Gordon. Bobby Labonte is 3rd, followed by Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace. ESPN welcomes you back to our live coverage of the NASCAR Select Batteries 400, being brought to you by Exide NASCAR Select, the official automotive battery of NASCAR. By Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more champions trust. And by the more than 2,700 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. The next race we will televise for you will be at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Mud Pole qualifying at 3 o'clock on Friday, October the 1st on ESPN2. The NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Our happy hour coverage at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And then on Sunday, October the 3rd, RPM Today at noon. NASCAR Today with Bill Weber at 12:30. And the Napa Auto Care 500 gets the green flag at 1 o'clock on ESPN. RPM Tonight on ESPN2 at 9:30, Sunday, October 3rd. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Well, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th place cars, BP, are really going at it.
They sure are. Here comes Bobby Hamilton. We've seen this Kodak Film Chevrolet run awfully well. He's finally caught up to these fast cars. What can he do with them?
He's been able to work as well on that low side of the racetrack as anyone. DJ was up there trying to pass the 60 car. Jeff Burton got by him on the outside, and then Jeff finally worked and got by Jeffrey Burton down on the inside. And while all that was going on, Rusty Wallace passed Mark Martin for the 4th position.
Looks like the headlights broke out there on the right front, huh?
Yeah, like he's running to someone. Close quarters. By the way, we talked about Martinsville. I never seen Dale Jarrett on the inside of Jeffrey Bowden. I saw Clay Campbell down in the infield earlier today. He said he's still got a few tickets left for that race in Martinsville. So if you fans want to come see a great NASCAR Winston Cup race.
Another one of the action tracks on the circuit.
No kidding.
Last short track race of 1999.
These guys here are full straightaway behind the leader. And by the way, we have passed the halfway mark. We have completed 202 laps, so Tony Stewart picks up $10,000 for leading at the halfway mark.
From the folks at Gatorade. That's a pretty nice little lick with $10,000. Watch Hamilton DJ.
Hamilton's car down on that inside. He got a bite coming up off the corner, which is pretty impressive.
Not only has he run into someone in the front end, but he has a wheel mark there in the right rear.
I'll let him go, DJ. So that's not the nature of a race driver, is it?
No, it sure isn't.
Michael Waltrip went behind the wall a while ago with some smoke pouring from that car and the oil line broken, but the 7 car rolls down pit road and is about to rejoin the action. He'll be about 53 laps down. Another bump from Hamilton as he takes the spot from DJ.
Tony will let him go.
Some good fatherly advice that the son didn't listen to.
Well, of course, he couldn't hear, but...
That was a battle for the 7th position.
That's worth another look in real time.
Going down in the corner. Oh, just touched.
Is that what is called rattling one's cage?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, but that was okay. I mean, he's been racing him hard. Just a little bit of a touch there. That's okay to do that kind of thing.
Well, here's Tony Stewart now, whose lead over Jeff Gordon isn't all that much. In fact, it's only about 0.4 of a second.
Wow, Jeff Gordon closing right in.
Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, we saw Tony Stewart have a problem in the pits for that last pit stop. In fact, he was the 3rd car on the racetrack. The problem he had was they had a lug nut fall off on the right front. Now, the car is handling real well right now. They don't have a problem with the fact they've made no adjustments whatsoever on the car. The biggest concern they've had is their pit stop. Tony is very, very concerned about stalling the car when he comes down pit road, and so he's coming in so slow to keep the motor revved up, he's throwing the timing off from the pit crew. So we'll watch his next stop. Let's check in with Bill.
About 30 laps ago, before we went back to green, I asked Ray Evernham, are you guys going to be okay? He said the right rear tire problem is not going to affect us throughout the evening. The problem is trying to catch the 20 car. At that point, the 24 was in front of the 20 car. But Jeff Gordon gave up that lead, and when Tony Stewart went by him, Gordon got on the radio and said, "Look at him go."
and he can look up in his rearview mirror in the crash here on the front straightaway right in front of Jeff Gordon and the leader, but they get by.
That's Ward Burton, whose car is right in the low groove of the racetrack past the start-finish line. Tough night for Ward, involved in the bump with Mark Martin very early in the race, and now crashing here on lap 212. Here comes Tony Stewart around, and Daryl Waltrip is trying to get one of his laps back.
And he does. Tony Stewart slows down and lets him go by.
We saw Jeffrey Bodine slowing. What was that all about, Bill?
Well, on Jeff Bodine's car, they thought they had an ignition box problem. They changed ignition boxes, and now they believe the problem is in the engine compartment. So they're going to bring him in. They're going to have to go under the hood here on pit road. But great run for him through the first 200 laps. But now Jeff Bodine with problems.
We take a look at this crash involving Ward Burton.
Never see Ward coming off the corner. All of a sudden it just goes around. The back end just comes around.
And there comes Tony Stewart, the leader, and Jeff Gordon, who running second. They hit all that smoke, and Tony Stewart looks like that he's headed right into him, but he comes to the low side. I'm sure his spotter told him to go low, and Jeff Gordon's spotter told him to go high, and now all the leaders are in the pits.
Pit stops on lap 214. Bill Weber.
They have warned Jeff Gordon just to be careful with his tires. Other than that, no major changes. They do bump up the spoiler a little bit. Right side tires around. They whip around to the left side. They'll put on the left sides. The fuel is in. They clean the windshield. He's almost ready to go. Revs the engine. He's on his way toward Jerry Punch.
Great pit stop for Tony Stewart's crew so far. One round of bite into trying to help the forward bite. Stewart is down and away, but Gordon and Labonte will beat him out from pit road.
And Mark Martin, so Tony's going to fall into fourth position.
And look at Mike Skinner sit there and just lose position after position. He must have gone back to the 16th, 17th position.
All right, now from the Pennzoil copter cam, we're going to watch both Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart get through this incident involving Ward Burton, and both had to hit the brakes. Gordon goes high and Stewart goes low. Both of them not involved in the Ward Burton accident. His car is being pushed back behind the wall. We'll be back in just a moment with more from Richmond International. Coming up next on SportsCenter, find out what former Yankees prospect had the biggest day in the major leagues today. With the Cubs in Houston, could Sammy Sosa become the first man to hit 60 home runs twice in a career? And on the eve of the NFL season, how far is the league going to go in its investigation of the 49ers salary cap issues? Chris Mortensen has a report. That's on SportsCenter coming up next here on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
And you'll want to check on the Red Sox putting a hurting on the Yankees tonight on SportsCenter. They tell me Trot Nixon had a home run today. So, wife, that's the husband of Catherine Nixon, one of the folks in our truck there. So congratulations, Catherine and Trot.
By the way, thanks for the autographed baseball. 217 laps in the books, and we are about to go back to racing here at Richmond International Raceway. It's Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Burton. 1 through 5 as the green is about to fly.
Green, green, green.
Ricky Rudd has abandoned his car. Remember, we told you earlier that he was suffering from food poisoning and did not qualify the car. Dick Trickle did. Rudd started the race. Trickle is in it now. And the 10 car is in 30th position, a lap down.
Jeremy Mayfield, the 12 car, trying awfully hard to get one of his laps back. He is a couple of laps down. Right now, he's in front of the leader.
Had a flat tire early in the race. He's never been able to make up. He got 3 laps behind and has tried several times. That time across the line, he was very close. I don't know which one led it. It doesn't matter unless he gets the caution while he's out in front of the 24.
Rusty Wallace is in 6th and appears to be ready to challenge Jeff Burton. Maybe he's getting that Miller Lite Ford dialed in.
Yeah, he had moved up through the pack. He had passed Mark Martin, and Rusty seems to be, his car seems to be better now than it was earlier in the race. You always expect a lot out of Rusty Wallace on any short track, and especially here at Richmond. Has a great record here.
Here's a Lowe's field summary with the point standings. We have 10 races to go. The 99 season, 9 after today. Mike Skinner taking the 10th position in points away from Ward Burton. The top 10 will be on the stage at the Waldorf Astoria in December for the NASCAR Winston Cup banquet. Talk about close quarters. That is it.
It's Jerry Nadeau, the M&M's car on the inside. He is a lap down to these cars. We're riding along with Jeff Burton in the Exide Ford as Rusty Wallace pulls up right on the back bumper.
Ernie Irvan was here at Richmond International Raceway this weekend. To see him continuing to be involved in the sport despite the fact that he announced his retirement from competition last weekend.
He's up with Boris Seth for the NASCAR Cup Series on Thursday night. As a matter of fact, he stayed all weekend. I saw him down at the church service earlier today.
Up front there are your top 4. Now again, the 12 car is getting one of his 2 laps back. Gordon, Martin, Labonte, Stewart 1 through 4.
Last time by, Mark Martin was 2 miles per hour faster than Jeff Gordon. And that time Bobby Labonte was the 99 car. Jeff Burton was the quickest car. Yep.
Well, we'll let you all see who's fastest this next time as we check the speeds as they hit the line.
Jeff Burton again. Yep, over 121.
Stewart 2nd, Bobby Labonte 3rd. We're on board with Jeff.
And guess what Jeff Burton has done to pick up that speed? Watch this, watch this. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. The guy who's been running higher than anyone else has now gone to the bottom of the racetrack.
Dale Earnhardt is also on the bottom of the racetrack as he tries to take 9th away from Marlin. Bobby Labonte goes to 2nd, passing Martin, and so does Tony Stewart.
Mark Martin's going to lose 3 positions here if Jeff Burton gets by. He moves down to the inside. Burton does, trying to take over the 4th position. He has it.
Martin dropping back now to 5th.
Watch Burton on the bottom of the racetrack. He is really running down there now.
I'm sure they've made some adjustments on that Exide Ford to allow him to do that, but you pointed out several times in the first half of the race that he could only run on the high side, and he was struggling up there, but boy, he is hooked up now.
The 32 and the 8 almost had a crash. Let's take a look at that. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, Jimmy Spencer, and Mike Wallace. Boom!
Wow.
Contact. And boy, that jams them up behind it. Could have had a big wreck right there, but cooler heads prevailed.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in 15th on the lead lap. His dad is 9th.
And look at Jeff Burton going by Tony Stewart. That's the first time we've seen that happen tonight.
Yeah, he's been passing cars, Tony Stewart has, and Bobby Labonte has caught Jeff Gordon, and he's trying to take the lead.
Bobby Labonte has led 3 laps here tonight. Gordon has led 36 so far.
Still hasn't been able to do it.
Jerry Punch has a report on Jeff Burton, who's running third.
I spoke with Frank Stoddard, and what he did was exactly what we heard Bobby Labonte did early tonight and Rusty Wallace. On that last stop, they took a rubber out of the right rear, and that tightened up Jeff enough, and now he can run the car on the bottom of the racetrack and still get enough fight to get up off the corner. That rubber has made a huge difference in the 99 car. Bill Weber?
The last two restarts, Mark Martin has not been very good. He just told Jimmy Fennig on the radio about 3 laps ago, this car is just way too tight. Have to see if it loosens up as they go along, but Mark's given up several good positions here early after the green.
He is behind these two battling up front, back in 5th position. The battle is continuing between Bobby Labonte and Jeff Gordon, and the 104,000 people who are in the stands in the suites here tonight have not sat down since the restart as they watch this side-by-side competition.
Very impressive that these two guys, and we see Jeff Gordon score down in front of Bobby Labonte. Very impressive these guys then running side by side was able to just keep up with Jeremy Mayfield.
Yes, they were still turning good lap speeds, and you see Tony Stewart has gotten back around the 99 car of Jeff Burton and caught up to Gordon and Labonte.
So a good 4-car battle up front here. Well, here's Labonte once again looking to the inside in turn 4, trying to grab the lead away from Gordon.
Boy, did he drive that thing. Bobby Labonte drove her deep down into turn 3 and stuck with him.
He was hoping that Jeremy Mayfield would move up in front of Jeff Gordon, just like he is right there, which would allow him to take the lead.
You mean like that?
Like that. That's what I'm talking about.
Now look at Stewart. He may have the same idea since Gordon can't get away from Jeremy Mayfield. And indeed, Tony Stewart goes to 2nd. So Jeff Gordon all of a sudden falls back to 3rd as he gets caught behind Jeremy Mayfield. Bobby Labonte now has the lead of the NASCAR Select Batteries 400. 239 laps in the books. Back after these messages, Labonte leads Stewart, Gordon, and Burton.
Back at Richmond International Raceway under caution, triple split pits. Gordon has already made his pit stop. Bobby Labonte leading, and now Tony Stewart nearly clips his teammate Bobby Labonte as they exit pit road under caution. There are the times, 16.8 seconds for Labonte. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
4 tires and fuel for Jeff Gordon. No adjustments, although they are very disappointed with the performance of Jeremy Mayfield on the track. Ray.
Bobby Hamilton came in the Kodak car, and they put 4 tires on it, went down 2 pounds on the right rear. Bobby Hamilton says the car running very well. This has been probably their best car in the stable. They finished 4th here in the spring, which is their best run of the year. It was in the same car, and last fall the same team finished 6th here at Richmond in the same car. So Bobby Hamilton loves this race car.
Why are we under caution, you ask? Well, it's our 5th of the evening, and it involved an incident between the 32 and the 01. There is the 01 of Hornaday sideways.
And the car, Hornaday just nails the gas, goes up, does not hit the, well, no, he did not hit the wall, and there we see Mike Wallace go by along with Brett Bodine.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is having a long stop, Ray. What's going on?
Well, Bob, that's actually their 2nd stop. The first time they came in, they had trouble. They only were able to put right side tires on, so they came back for lefts this time, but it's the brakes that are going away on the 8, and that's what's giving Dale Earnhardt fits.
He drops back to 20th, the last car on the lead lap. Under caution for the 5th time in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400. Half a lap run under green as Tony Stewart has dropped back to 5th position. He's getting killed on pit stops. Jeff Gordon the leader, Mark Martin 2nd, then Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, and Stewart. And Steve Park has moved to 6th. Rusty Wallace is 7th, then Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, and Sterling Marlin.
You wonder, Steve Park, he either had a great pit stop. He did have a great pit stop. Whether he took on all 4 tires, don't know about that.
Bill, did he?
He took 2 right side tires during that pit stop, so they needed the track position, been running well. 2 right side tires for Parr.
They have got the good track position.
Battle for the lead. Mark Martin on the inside of Jeff Gordon.
Mark has not led yet tonight. 4 drivers have led. Stewart, Gordon, Bobby Labonte, and Mike Skinner. Stewart the most, 189 laps.
Martin, you see they've got green wheels on that 6 car this time. Apparently off of the car of Chad Little, who crashed a little bit earlier.
Wow, Mark came off the corner loose, squeezed up almost in the side of Jeff Gordon.
Ray, those green wheels, what are they, from Chad Little's car?
Yeah, they sure are, Bob, and the reason is Mark's car is so loose they just have not been able to get a set of tires that works. So they thought maybe by getting a set from Chad Little, it might be a little better. There's also a set of these green wheels sitting in Bobby Hamilton's pit right now, so you might see some of Chad's tires on the 4 car next time they come into pit. The reason is these guys all started out with 8 sets of tires tonight. They've already pitted 5 times and put stickers on, so they want to get as many tires in the pit as they can. We've still got a long way to go.
And all of a sudden, Mark is not battling for the lead anymore. In fact, he's back to 6th position.
He just backed off and let these guys go.
And but Jarrett up high.
I think Dale Earnhardt might have gotten in the back of him. I don't know if we have a replay of that, but we'll see. They had Earnhardt had bumped him once or twice before. Bobby Labonte going for the lead. Once again, down on the inside, trying to.
Nope, can't do it.
You obviously see Tony Stewart back there trying to take over that 3rd spot.
From Jeff Burton. Well, Jarrett sure did lose a lot of track position. He's back to 14th. This battle for 2nd continues between Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart. We'll show you the replay that involved Dale Jarrett just as soon as this contest for 2nd is decided.
Which is going to be a contest for 1st before long. As Tony Stewart goes by both those cars and now goes up to challenge Jeff Gordon for the lead.
Another incredible run for the Rushville Rocket, as they used to call him when he was running in the United States Auto Club Open Wheel Division and the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. Tony Stewart and a couple of Hoosiers are battling up front, BP.
Oh, that makes you proud, doesn't it?
Love to see that.
Wow.
Around and around they go, side by side.
But Tony Stewart, every lap, seems to be getting just a little bit more of an advantage.
Now it's clear. Now he's not.
I think they made a little contact right there.
Yeah.
Gordon backed off.
Stewart has the lead.
And Jeff Burton trying to take over 3rd spot, and does, from Bobby Labonte.
All right, now that things have settled down just a little bit, here's the replay. Now Dale Jarrett,
first turn, and they're on the outside of Bill Elliott. See, Earnhardt just runs up there and taps him just a little bit, and almost gets him into the wall.
Bill has more on the 88.
Well, up until that point of the evening, it's been pretty quiet for Dale Jarrett and company, just tweaking the car on their stops. Last time before he pitted, he was tight in the center, loose on the bottom. Did not want to play with the air pressure because of the tire situation, so they made a track bar adjustment, went back out. They were running 8, and then he got hit in the back, and he fell 6 spots, and he came on the radio, and he said, "Who hit me, Bob? Who hit me?" Asking his spotter. The answer, the 3 car. The 3 car.
Tom Jeffries, the spotter for Dale Jarrett. There's the 31 of Mike Skinner, our pole sitter, who is in 13th position. Here once again is a battle toward the front of the field for second. Burton and Gordon as Bobby Labonte looks on.
Bill Elliott has slowed. He's already a lap down, running in 24th position right now, but he's going slow down between turns 1 and 2 as Jeff Burton tries to get around Jeff Gordon.
On that replay a moment ago when Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt made the contact, I saw smoke out of Bill Elliott's car when he got back on the accelerator, so he is experiencing some type of engine problem.
Well, Tony Stewart has now locked up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. Led the most at Bristol, has led the most here tonight. Average speed of the race a little over 101 miles an hour. We've been slowed 5 times for a total of 37 laps for cautions.
Believe it or not, these guys running side by side that last lap ran faster than Tony Stewart did leading the race, but that time Stewart was a little faster than they were.
A 1-second advantage for Tony Stewart as we have completed 264 laps. We'll be right back. On a Saturday night in Richmond, Virginia, it has been all Tony Stewart so far as on the racetrack. Frankie Stoddard, Joe Gibbs, and Ray Evernham can only look on and see Tony pretty much dominating things here in the first 272 laps. He's got about a 3/4 of a second lead on Jeff Gordon at the moment. Bill Weber, we've noticed that Bill Elliott has been in a couple of times recently.
And now he's going behind the wall, Bob. He had a vibration. They were hoping it was just a tire. Then they want to know if it might have been the drive shaft. He believes it's in the gear. It's a problem with the pinion. So they've taken it behind the wall. They will change the rear end gear on the 94 car. Tough break for him. Was running well. Now behind the wall. Briefly on Jeff Bodine in the 6-0. They think they've got a bad valve spring. He's out there limping around, but it's lost a tremendous amount of position.
Yeah, he's lost 2 laps back in 29th. Jeffrey Bodine. Here's Mike Skinner, Dale Jarrett, and John Andretti as they battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th. As the pole sitter Skinner has dropped back now to 12th. Here's the Bud race recap. Tony Stewart continuing to add to his lap lead, 207 currently. We've had 13 lead changes and 5 caution laps. Average speed almost 102 miles an hour. Here are the 5 drivers who have led at least a lap here tonight. We have a couple of drivers that are off the racetrack, and notice that Rick Mast has taken his car behind the wall. And Rick, again, we remind you, is the only driver that does not have a DNF this year. And 2 cars out of the race as a result of crashes, Chad Little and Terry Labonte. Mark Martin beginning the struggle. He was up there in 2nd position, now has dropped back to 7th. Ray, what's the problem there?
Well, Bob, it has to do with this set of tires that they've got on the race car. Mark just came on the radio and said to Jimmy Fenning, I don't even think we'll be able to make it to the next stop. This set of tires is just killing me.
See Dale Earnhardt there in front of Mark Martin. The Goodwin Chevrolet is taking over, going by Mark, taking over the 6th position.
Back to this battle for the 12th spot between Jarrett and Skinner.
And you see behind him Bobby Hamilton, the Kodak Film Chevrolet. All of a sudden he has lost the handle on that car. Remember how well he ran earlier in the race? All of a sudden now he's struggling back in 14th.
Well, he was pretty far back on this restart, Benny, and he has passed John Andretti and has caught up to these drivers here. But whether he'll be able to do anything with them or not. But you're right, he was up there in the top 10, but now he's not doing as well as he was. Jarrett finally did get around Mike Skinner and took over the 12th position. Tony
Stewart begins to move through some heavy traffic. That's Wally Dallenbach in the 25, and Dick Trickle, who is relief driving for Ricky Rudd. Announcement possibly could come on Monday regarding Ricky Rudd's 2000 plans. Word is that he is going to go to the 28. RPM tonight at 7 o'clock Monday night, with John Kernan will have the full details. And
well, Jeff Gordon ran in there on the 10 car and almost ran over him, then almost ran into the wall.
He had to slam on the brakes to avoid the 10 car, and you're right, and it almost caught the wall. That last lap, Jeff Gordon's been running around 119, 118, 119 mile per hour average. The last time his average speed was 114 miles per hour. That's how much time he lost with that incident over in turn 2.
still maintains second, however, over Jeff Burton. There's Jeff. He has David Green between himself and Jeff Gordon. There's the leader as he puts another lap on Mike Wallace, who will go 2 laps down in the 26th position. Just a little more than 100 laps to go in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400 from Richmond International Raceway. Benzoil Copter Cam has a great shot of the downtown Richmond, Virginia area. We're located a few miles away in Henrico County, Virginia at Richmond International Raceway. And we are 108 laps to go in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400, the 25th race of the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup season. Speaking of NASCAR, keep up to date with what's going on. Silly season is in its prime. There's going to be a lot of changes in the next few days. You can keep up with it on the NASCAR online site at www.nascar.com. Tony Stewart has a 1.66 second lead on Jeff Gordon as Tony comes up to put another lap on the 9 car of Steve Grissom. That puts him 3 laps down in 31st spot. There is Jeff Gordon. And Bill Weber, is there a problem on the 24?
It sure doesn't look like it watching him on the racetrack, Bob, but about 8 laps ago he called in and said, I just broke the transmission, or we broke the transmission. But he continued to go on the racetrack, and Ray has told him, just keep doing what you're doing. Now at the back here, they have gotten out a second transmission. They've rolled out a cart that they could change gears. They're all set to make any kind of preparations. But I asked Ray Evernham, he said, right now they're okay. I said, what's the story? He goes, it's a long story. And there's no time for a long story at a short track race, so we'll keep our eyes and ears open.
Well, he's maintaining his advantage over third place Jeff Burton. They're separated by about 1.4 seconds, so the on-track performance of the 24 doesn't appear to be affected at the moment. The 33 car of Ken Schrader had a problem a couple of laps ago. Ken is a lap down in the 24th spot.
He just pancaked the right side of that car. See the wheels, and we see some sparks coming from under the car where something's dragging the racetrack. So he's made contact with the wall. Those wheels are white instead of black. That means they have concrete and paint on them.
Quite a story involving Schrader. Andy Petrie held an impromptu news conference before the start of the race and confirmed that apparently Ken Schrader will not fulfill his obligation to Petrie in the 2000 season. And Ken looks like headed for the 36.
The 36 vacated when Ernie Irvin retired last week from NASCAR Winston Cup competition.
Jerry Nadeau, who has been driving that, is going over the 25 for the 2000 season. Wally Dallenbach is an available driver.
In the 30 car, Todd Bodine in front of Kenny Schrader. Todd Bodine is 1 lap down in 23rd position. It's Schrader trying to get by.
This is a battle for position.
On board with the State Fair. Corn dogs onboard camera.
300 laps complete. Stewart's lead now 2.1 seconds. And the 55 car of Kenny Wallace will lose his first lap of the evening. Running in 19th spot. With a good run for Kenny. 15th, 16th, and 17th continue to run close together. There they are. Andretti, Earnhardt Jr., Spencer.
That's a heck of a battle there now.
Yeah, and they've been battling for quite a while, too. Earnhardt Jr., of course, will join the Winston Cup Series full-time in the year 2000.
Oh, contact! Then around goes Spencer.
Turn 4. Contact.
It looked like that Dale Earnhardt Jr. moved over to let Spencer go by, and then at turn 3 they made contact.
Some heavy damage to the left side of the Winston Ford Taurus. And Jimmy Spencer brings out another caution, our 6th of the evening.
The winning that's down. See Jimmy Spencer moving around in the Winston Ford.
Well, this could be an important pit stop here.
Now, if Jeff Gordon has a transmission problem, how's he going to get out of the pits? That's going to be the question mark.
Down to Bill Weber.
He only has 4th gear. Gordon only has 4th gear. He'll follow Tony Stewart down pit road. They were also concerned about his right front tire. In fact, they talked about pitting under green, and then they got the caution. Now Gordon is on pit road. Right side tires will go on. They tear away the plastic windshield cover. Fuel is already in. Now they'll come around to the left side. Everybody pitting under caution. 304 laps on the board. Now you can see the team loading up behind the car. They'll have to push Gordon away. Red does as best as he can with only 4th gear and now creeps down pit road.
He just creeps it right.
Going to come out in 3rd spot. Tony Stewart's going to have the lead, and I believe Burton will be 2nd. Here's Jerry Punch.
Tony Stewart told his crew, do not touch anything. Change the tires, fill it up with fuel, but the car is absolutely perfect. Maybe a hitch loose toward the end of the run, but otherwise, let's make no changes, guys. We should be good to go.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., or Sr., excuse me, was in down here. His car's the same thing, Jerry. It's just a little bit loose on a long run. He says it's pretty happy, though. They went down 1 pound of air pressure on the right rear, and Earnhardt back to the track.
Let's show you once again the wreck that has caused a caution. It involved Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Spencer.
See Earnhardt in the 8 car down on the low side, makes contact with the 23. Didn't take much, and around he goes into the wall hard.
And from another angle,
Earnhardt Jr. goes in the corner, and for some reason, I mean, it looked like maybe the car got a little bit loose, or he's trying to save the car. I mean, you look at the thing, you say he just went up and hit the 23, but I don't believe he did that. I think that something happened that caused him to go up and get in the side of the 23 car.
there was an obvious bobble that sent the car up into Jimmy Spencer. We'll take another break and be back with more live coverage in just a moment. Still under caution here at Richmond International Raceway because of an accident involving Jimmy Spencer. Now, Jeff Gordon falling to 3rd position here as a result of these pit stops. Bill, what's the situation with his transmission?
Well, he only has 4th gear, Bob, as we talked about, but now he has told Ray Evernham he definitely has a clutch problem. He's going to come down pit road. They want to check it and see if they can do something to correct the clutch problem on pit road. They had talked about taking the car back to the garage. You can hear the fan reaction here at Richmond. They'll jack it up, take a look at it, and again, they'll have to push him to get him started down pit road. You have to use a jack stand when you send a man under the car on pit road by NASCAR decree. Shuts off the car.
And I'm not sure what they could do to the clutch. careful not to rev the engine up. I think he did rev the engine up when he went out of the pits before after the changed tires, and that could cause the clutch to slip. But he's going to have to roll on pretty good there to keep from going a lap down. Who's going to make it? The signal is being given for 1 lap to go. They'll go green this time around, and I'm not sure that his car is going to get up to speed.
I think the clutch is slipping on the car. I think when he left in 4th gear the other time, that he got it so hot that the clutch is slipping now.
In his 3 championship seasons, he had a total of 9 finishes of 30th or worse. In the first 24 races of this year, he has had 6 finishes of 30th or worse. Bill?
Well, Ray Evernham has come down off the pit box here on pit road, continues to talk to his driver. Gordon wants to ride around, but if that's as fast as he can go, they're not going to let him stay out there. Green flag's about to come, and this field will blow his doors off here in about 5 seconds.
And Tony Stewart has moved ahead of Jeff Gordon in the point standings. To make matters worse. Yeah, as the green comes out and we go back to competition, look how slow Jeff is down the backstretch, and it looks like he is headed in. No sense being out there at that speed, is there?
No point at all. He could hardly get back to the pits.
Rusty may have a problem, Jerry.
He's reporting, guys, that apparently the power steering has gone out. He's having to grab the steering wheel and just twist it with both hands to get the car to turn. And guys, he's got, 88 laps to go? That's going to be a lot of effort by Rusty Wallace.
The 24 of Jeff Gordon goes behind the wall for repairs to the transmission and clutch.
I think he's going to the garage here because I don't think they can fix that problem in the remaining 87 laps.
Here's a Hardee's Field summary, and it shows you that Stewart moves to 4th in the point standings. Bill?
Crew Chief Benny Parsons had it exactly right. That's what Ray just said. Take it to the garage. There's not enough time left in this race to fix it.
Well, that is going to drop Jeff Gordon way back into the 30s, maybe even the 40s. Has moved up to 4th position at a good pit stop. Moved from 12th to 5th and has picked up a position since then. And you'll recall the last couple of nights of racing, well, Greg Biffle, the points leader in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, won that race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the points leader in the Busch Series, won the race last night. What do you think, Dad?
Sounds good to me. Continue that trend here at the Richmond International Raceway. DJ made a 15.9-second pit stop, moved from 12th to 5th, and when Gordon went in the garage, that moved him up to 4th. Let's go to the pits now.
Well, Jeff Gordon just pulled the DuPont Chevy in behind the wall, talking it over here with Ed Guzzo and some of the crew members. As he climbs out of the car, we'll get over here to him. Jeff, very, very odd to see you guys have a mechanical problem.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, we were running really strong, and we were getting better and better, and, you know, something broke in the transmission. All I had was 4th gear there, and when I went to take off out of the pits, I, had to slip the clutch and burn the clutch up in it, so I couldn't go anywhere. Oh well.
Too late to fix it now, right?
Yeah, we can't fix it.
Okay, Jeff Gordon done for the night.
And back here in the pack, here's Earnhardt and Martin as they battle for 8th, and the number 1 car of Steve Park is 7th.
Jerry Nadeau's been in the picture a lot tonight. He's a lap down, but he's running in 19th position right now, but he has run well after he got that lap down.
And here is 10th and 11th, Hamilton and Skinner. And the 28 car of Irwin is still on the lead lap in 12th spot.
But I thought I saw a little whiff of smoke from that 28. Might not have, I don't know.
Might have been when he laid up against that 32 car.
It could have been. Yeah, it probably was.
As a matter of fact, that 32 car Mike Wallace is driving is one of Kenny Irwin's old cars.
Coming up next here on ESPN SportsCenter with all the baseball results. No hitter in baseball today. We have the NFL season beginning tomorrow. All kinds of things going on. And we'll be back here live with an interview of the winner of the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400 on SportsCenter coming up next on ESPN. Tony Stewart with about a 0.6 of a second lead now on Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, and Rusty Wallace, the top 5. The last 10 short track races in NASCAR Winston Cup competition have been won by 10 different drivers. You're seeing them right now. Rusty Wallace, John Andretti, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt. Could we have an 11th here tonight? Tony Stewart is currently leading this race.
But he just lost the lead.
Well,
no, I beg your pardon. That orange car of the 0-1, but Bobby Labonte is catching him now, whether it's just in traffic and the 20 cars being a little careful through the traffic. I don't know. In fact, I thought when Ron Hornaday with that orange car, I thought,
well, no question, Bobby Labonte is a lot closer than he was to Tony Stewart. Well, don't forget, SportsCenter is coming up next. Just a great game at Yankee Stadium today involving the Red Sox and the Yankees. Younger sister Serena Williams atoned for her sister's loss to Martina Hingis in yesterday's U.S. Open semifinals. Maybe check it out tonight, and we will be back here with an interview with the important players of this race on SportsCenter coming up next here on ESPN. Well, Dale Earnhardt and Bobby Hamilton are running 7th and 8th, and the 9th place car of Mark Martin.
interesting to look up on the scoreboard there. You see the 6th place car is 2, the 7th place car is 3, and the 8th place car is 4. 2, 3, 4. Then Mark Martin the 6th, the 5th left out of that because he wrecked early in the race. Barry Labonte blew a tire and hit the wall.
If you're tuning in late, Jeff Gordon is out of the race, currently running in 38th position. And Mark Martin got a little loose coming off the corner.
Yeah, got down on the inside there, I think, and nailed the gas, and it took off on him.
See Jimmy Spencer back on the racetrack in the Winston car, number 23.
Here's an AutoZone on-track interval BP, and there is the interval between now Stewart and Labonte that has been reduced by half.
Those 23.3, 23.2, I think that's a Tony Stewart run across that heavy traffic, because I think now he's back to like something like that 22.9 lap that he saw on there.
The last lap he ran a 118.069 and Labonte ran a 117.981, so Stewart just a little bit faster than Bobby that last time around. Kenny Irwin and Ted Musgrave swap positions as Kenny goes into the top 10.
Again.
There's another driver who is out of work, although there is considerable speculation that he will drive the 42 car in the year 2000, the one that Joe Nemechek has abandoned. And a battle for 15th between Steve Park and Kenny Wallace, that happening just in front of the leader, Tony Stewart.
Now this will hold up Tony Stewart. Oh, Kenny Wallace just a little bit loose. This is going to hold up the leader as he tries to get by these two cars that don't want to go a lap down.
Now fans will wonder, say, we saw Kenny Wallace get lapped a long time ago. Well, he got his lap back during when the caution came out not long after he got lapped. Whoever was leading the race, and I suppose it was Tony Stewart, slowed down and let him get back on the lead lap. Now he has lapped him again.
So he goes a lap down in 16th, and now Steve Park also goes a lap down in 15th. There are 14 cars on the lead lap. Running in 14th position, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Bobby Labonte still got that battle, and they have caught Rusty Wallace.
Bobby Hamilton, that is, in the 4 car.
Yes.
That 2, 3, 4 scenario there. They're a little over a half a lap behind the leader. About 12 seconds, 12 and a half.
Earnhardt looks inside of Rusty in turn 4.
Just easily goes by. Now Hamilton's going to try to do the same thing. And he goes by Rusty Wallace. Now here comes Mark Martin. Man, Open the gate, they all want to come in.
There is Stewart, and you saw just ahead of him the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr., the last car on the lead lap. And Stewart has again lengthened his lead to more than 1¼ seconds. Doctor?
Down in the Tony Stewart pits, the anticipation is really growing. That is Krista Dwyer, who is Tony's fiance. Her lips have been quivering, her eyes have gotten moist in the last few laps, and every time he comes by, she looks over her shoulder at the scoreboard to see the laps are counting down. She knows how important this night can be to her future husband.
Heavy smoke coming from Mark Martin.
Well, Mark Martin, a lot of smoke coming from his Valvoline Ford. And the man in second place in the point standings, this could be a huge hit for him.
And Jarrett, as you see in our points now graphic, has lengthened his advantage in the standings to 198, and it may go further than that as we go along in the evening because Martin does not look good.
The engine is still running, but obviously got some pretty serious problems.
You know, Benny, in the first practice today, he went out and he ran about 20 laps. And then all of a sudden, he was really running good. The smoke started coming from his car. He took it into the garage area. They worked on it for about 30 minutes, came back out. And I asked Jack Rouse this afternoon what had happened. And he said that apparently that one of the oil lines had been left just a little bit loose. And, of course, they fixed that and went on back out and practiced. Bill?
Well, they just said there's nothing they could do. There's oil coming out the breather. They were hoping it was an oil line. They thought it might be a piston. Mark said it sounds like it's a piston. Jimmy Fennick says, shut it off. We're taking it to the garage. Well, maybe Mark's going to drive it back there. But anyway, take it there. It's going to the garage, and he's going to lose a whole lot of points.
Indeed he will. Tough break for Mark Martin as he pulls behind the wall with just 31 laps to go.
The NASCAR official said, you're not going back on the racetrack. And the guy said, get out of the way. We're going around behind the wall.
And the NASCAR guy says, okay.
The NASCAR officials they don't monitor the radio, so they had no idea that Mark was going behind the wall. They thought he was trying to go back on the racetrack.
Well, Sports Center is coming up next. A no-hitter in baseball today. Did Sammy get another home run? And how about an investigation into the San Francisco 49ers salary cap on the eve of the NFL season? Less than 24 laps to go in the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400 Winston Cup race at Richmond International Raceway. Tony Stewart has a 1-second lead over Bobby Labonte. Now the 4-car of Bobby Hamilton is on the move.
And Kenny Irwin is also on the move. Look at this number 24 Texas, 28 Texaco Havoline Ford on the inside of Bobby Hamilton. That's a battle for 6th position.
And Jeff Burton is just going backwards. Jeff was running in 4th place about 15 laps ago. He is now in 8th position. All of these cars have passed him. Ted Musgrave now going by him. Burton's car has gone away.
Well, Kenny Irwin has 3 top 10 finishes in 4 races here, and he's got another one going here tonight as he battles Hamilton for 6th.
You know, we haven't talked much about Sterling Marlin tonight. The guy has moved up into 4th place. As we watch this battle for the 6th position, Dale Earnhardt is 5th. For 6th. Irwin just gradually getting him every lap.
Best finish, of course, this year was a 3rd in the very first race of the year, the Daytona 500. Boy, they just continue to go side by side, don't they now? Hamilton has the advantage, but here comes Kenny right back.
Kenny Irwin, Doug Richard, the entire crew has got themselves a very good race car tonight. Now he takes the spot away from Bobby Hamilton.
Now we go on board with Sterling Marlin.
He's running 4th. He's not in contention for for third at the moment. He's about 10 seconds behind Dale Jarrett, but he has moved right on up through there. DJ's about 4.8 seconds behind the leader, Tony Stewart.
As a result of his 40th place finish at Darlington last week, Marlin dropped 3 positions in the point standings down to 18th. But will probably gain some back here tonight with his 4th place performance right now. Boy, I tell you, that interval between first and second is definitely shrinking.
Yes, it is. You see Bobby Labonte has come right into the picture there in the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. The pair of Pontiacs by Joe Gibbs Racing. Duking it out here tonight.
Some Tony Stewart fans are hoping that Tony can drive to his first Winston Cup victory here tonight. There are less than 17 laps to go. Joe Gibbs with an outstanding performance here tonight, running first and second. Here's a Hardee's Field summary with the point standings again. And as a result of Jeff Gordon's problems, Stewart moves to 4th and Jeff Burton may move to 5th.
Well, this traffic right now is going to be murder for Tony Stewart as he tries to work through it. And he's got slow cars on the inside as he has to follow these slow cars by on the outside.
And Bobby Labonte is just going to try to follow him right through, but Tony got through that group pretty good. And so did the 18 car Bobby Labonte. And Ray Dunlap is with Mark Martin.
Mark, we see it's obviously something wrong with the engine here. Do you think it's related to the crash you had before Burton?
I don't think so. Not sure what broke in it, but just a part. You know, sometimes parts break. Was pretty encouraged with the team and with the car for a long time, and then toward the end we started having a little trouble with that sealer wearing off. But Valvoline Cummins team did a great job, and we were pretty darn strong for 2/3 of the race.
Okay, Mark Martin there. They're definitely done for the night, guys. And you remember last year about this time, it was a blown engine at Darlington that took Mark out of this championship chase. This is going to be an awful big blow tonight.
Folks, don't go away. This thing is far from over. Bobby Labonte is right there behind Tony Stewart, and Jeff Burton is going a lap down in 10th spot.
Well, his car has really gone away on him. He just, from the drop of the green flag on this last run here, he has just not been as good as he had been earlier tonight. I'm talking about Jeff Burton, who won this race a year ago, now a lap down.
Bobby Labonte has won 4 times in 1999. He won at Dover, he won the second race at Michigan, and he swept Pocono.
I think it's a clean racetrack. I don't think he can catch Tony Stewart because I think Stewart's car is as fast as Bobby Labonte's, maybe even faster. But who knows what's going to happen when you run across all this traffic.
6 drivers have won in their rookie year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Shorty Rollins did it in '58. Earl Ross, Dale Earnhardt, Ron Bouchard, Morgan Shepherd, the latest to do it. The most recent was Davey Allison in '87, and he won 2 times in his rookie season. Well, there are 10 laps to go at Richmond International Raceway. Can Tony Stewart hang on and record his first victory?
9th place car, John Andretti, just went a lap down. So Tony Stewart's setting a very fast pace here tonight. This puts a lot of real good race cars a lap down.
Tony has led the most laps in the last 2 short track races. He led 225, the most at Bristol. So far tonight, he has led 324, and that number continues to go up.
Rick Mast in the 98 car moves over, lets Tony Stewart go by. Check that out. Jeff Gordon, the closest, led 56 laps. Tony Stewart has led 324.
8 to go. Rusty Wallace was the last Pontiac winner here at Richmond International Raceway 6 years ago.
Brett Medine in the Paychex Ford just went a lap down. Brett's back in 31st position.
Here's Krista.
A little bit nervous.
Yep. And
saying a prayer.
Maybe some moisture there in the eyes, huh?
Having more laps. Count them down.
He knows how much Tony wants it. You ever see the 28 car Kenny Irwin trying to get by Dale Earnhardt for the 5th position?
Well, Jerry Punch, what's it like down there in the Stewart pit?
Incredible anticipation, Bob. And Tony Stewart, you can hear the excitement in his voice every lap. He says, talk to me, keep talking to me, guys. Tell me the laps. So they're counting them down now, one by one as he comes by. He says, the spotter needs to talk to me. The crew chief talked to me. He's so excited. They're trying to keep him calm and count them off one by one as they go by.
The last time we had a first-time winner in Winston Cup racing, as Greg Zipadelli has his fingers crossed, was Jeremy Mayfield in Pocono last year in June. Tony Stewart is a little more than 4 laps away from victory here tonight. The interval between himself and his teammate Bobby Labonte is 63/100ths of a second.
But right in front of them, they got cars running side by side for position. So Bobby Hamilton up there, the 75 car Musgrave with 4 laps to go. I don't know if Tony's going to get to him before this thing's over. He hopes not.
397 complete for Tony Stewart.
Man, this thing is never going to be released.
Steve Grissom, the 9 car.
Tony Stewart won the USAC Midget Championship in 1994. In 1995, he won the Sprint, Midget, and Silver Crown Championships in the same year in the United States Auto Club. He won the Pep Boys Indy Racing League title in 1997. Here is a battle between Earnhardt and Irwin for the 5th position. And Tony Stewart gets the white flag. One more lap to go. Stewart has a lot of traffic ahead of him, but I don't think it's going to be a factor in the race. They come down the backstretch. Bobby Labonte is still about 5 or 6 car lengths behind him. Here comes Tony Stewart off the corner. And in his 25th NASCAR Winston Cup race, Tony Stewart wins at Richmond International Raceway. Becomes the first rookie in Winston Cup racing to win since Davey Allison at Dover. Down to Bill Weber.
Greg Zipadelli, congratulations. You and Tony Stewart just got your first Winston Cup victory.
I just want to say thanks to everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, Motor Department, Fab Shop, Prep Shop. Everybody done a great job. Everybody here, I'd like to say thanks to Bobby, Jimmy Maycar. You know, they've all made this possible. It's just an awesome day. Tony did a great job.
You have run so well at so many tracks. You won, you started up front here. Did you think this could be your night?
Yeah, well, you know, you have to have the track position, good pit stops, and an awesome. We just had an awesome day. I don't even know what to say. I can't believe it. This is a dream come true.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, Jimmy Maycar is here, and several other crew members have come down here to congratulate them. Tony Stewart started second. Tonight he's first for the first time in his NASCAR Winston Cup career.
And it looks like he's going to take an entire lap around the racetrack in celebration. Don't forget, SportsCenter is coming up next with all the major news stories from the day, including baseball, tennis, and auto racing. Back here in Richmond to talk with Tony in a moment. Back at Richmond International Raceway, the champion emerges.
He wants to throw everything.
Is he excited or what? He should be.
Here's our McDonald's winner circle. Doctor, join the celebration.
Well, you know how excited he is. He hugs his crew chief before his fiance. That's how excited he is. He hugs Crystal Dwyer now. A moment ago, Greg Zipadelli, a big kiss. Hey, Tony, congratulations. #1, your first victory in NASCAR Winston Cup. What a night.
Oh, man. I wish I knew what to say. I mean, you plan all your life for something like this, and I don't know. It's the first time I've been speechless. Everybody knows I know how to talk. You know, this is for Davey Allison. I mean, this was the mark I had to shoot for all year, and you know, Donnie Allison and his family have been great to me this year. I'm out of breath. That's a lot of stuff to talk about after winning a race, but you know, Greg Zipadelli, all the people at Home Depot and all their associates, they have been just unbelievable this year. And Joe Gibbs Racing, Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Maycar, all the Interstate Battery guys. I mean, this is this is a team victory, and this is something Joe Gibbs has been dreaming about. So 1-2 finish. I'm just glad I'm on top tonight.
We could hear you those final 10 laps, the emotion beginning to creep into your voice as you told the spotter and everyone to talk to me, count them down. Talk to me, guys, about those last few laps.
Well, I mean, I kept getting intervals, and I knew we were running about the same times as Bobby. Just traffic was really going to hurt us at the end because the tires were getting really old, and it was hard to turn down underneath people and run a low line. But, you know, that's what we worked on really hard today in the first practice, was being able to stay low. And, you know, Greg and all the guys really, really worked hard to make sure this car drove good all day. You know, this is a long time coming. I want to dedicate this to Glenn Nibel. He's got cancer, and that guy taught me a lot, and, you know, a lot of stuff he taught me really helped me tonight, so this is for him.
And I also know how much you cared for Davey Allison, and that this is the first time a rookie has won since December of '87 when Davey Allison won at Dover, so that has to mean even more to you.
Well, it is. Like I say, you know, Donnie Allison was one of the few guys that... Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Proud of you. Thank you. I mean, you know, the Allison family's been good, and, you know, ever since Daytona, he's came down every week and offered advice to me, and it's really meant a lot to us this year.
Hey, go celebrate, my friend. You deserve it. You are a winner in Winston Cup.
Don't cry. I'm not going to have any problem celebrating now.
Tony Stewart, the Rushville Rocket, as they celebrate here in Victory Lane, and the party is about to begin.
Great sportsmanship there with Dale Jarrett. Glenn Nibel, one of Tony's short track owners back when he was running in the United States Auto Club. Finishing second tonight to Tony Stewart was Bobby Labonte. We'll be back with more in a moment. Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway, where Tony Stewart has won the race tonight. And don't forget that SportsCenter is coming up next with all the major news from the world of sports today. His best career short track finish tonight for Bobby Labonte. Here's Ray.
Couple Gibbs cars up front. That's an awfully good night, but I know you hate being the first loser.
Well, I mean, it was a good night for us. You know, we qualified really well, and the Interstate Pontiac ran great. You know, we didn't quite have as much as forward bite as what Tony had up off the corner, didn't seem like, and you know, he just had us a little bit beat. You know, we gave him the big motor this week anyway.
How similar are the race cars that you guys drove tonight?
They're real good, real close. I mean, you know, it's not that far different wise, and you know, the chassis are close to the same, and the springs or shocks are close to the same. I mean, there's little differences, but you know, he likes his car a little different than I do. So that's really about all. But you know, it's great to have Tony as a teammate. His win tonight's great for Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'd rather have him on my side than having to race against him on a different team. So I think it's pretty good.
DJ had a great night, finishing third there, but it looks like you may be the guy now that's going to have to give him a run because both Gordon and Mark Martin fell out tonight. They've lost points.
Well, I heard they had problems. I know Jeff looked like something happened to fourth gear, or all he had was fourth gear, and I knew Mark was smoking, but I didn't know what the deal was. But, I mean, again, you know, past 2 weeks in a row, we've had tough end of races, you know, maybe not Darlington, but I know at Bristol running fifth with 12 to go and finished 29th. So, you know, it's just one of those deals. It was a good night for us, and, you know, had a good race and stayed out of trouble and finished on a good note on a short track this weekend. This is my best finish. Last race year third, and this time second, so can't complain about it.
Okay, Bobby Labonte finishes second. Good night for Joe Gibbs. Now let's go back to Jerry.
Back in victory lane, Coach, a Joe Gibbs sweep, 1-2, congratulations.
First one, I've been so happy tonight, I don't know what to say. Lord bless us with a great night. I want to say to Bernie and Arthur, everybody at Home Depot, thanks for going with Tony Stewart and going with us. Just a great night. Then I think Bobby and Jimmy, I just want to tell everybody, deserves a lot of the credit here. They helped suggest, put this together. They were the ones that orchestrated this, picked Tony Stewart, and it was just a great, I want to say a big thank you to everybody back at the shop, too. Everybody back there. It was just a total team effort. Everybody works together on both our cars.
What a week you had. You began the week with a U.S. Nationals win up at Indianapolis, and now an Indiana native brings you to victory lane with a rookie. And I saw Charlie Casterly in your pits there, former GM for the Redskins. A Redskins win tomorrow would make it a nice sweep.
It sure would. I'll tell you that. I'll be pulling for them Redskins. But tonight, I don't know what to say about Tony Stewart. This whole team is new, as you know, Jerry. This is nobody was taken off the 18 car. Everybody came in the way they gelled, worked. Tonight they're up front having to make pit stops against the 24 and the 18. And I just want to say, right now I'm emotionally kind of overcome. It was a terrific night for us. And like I said, I just want to thank everybody out there and thank the Lord for a great night and a great experience.
I agree, Coach. Go celebrate. Enjoy the night.
I'm going to. Thank you.
Joe Gibbs gets a 1-2 sweep at Richmond, his rookie driver. gets his first ever Winston Cup win, Bob.
Dale Jarrett picks up 102 points. His advantage over Mark Martin is now 270. Tony Stewart moved up 1. Jeff Burton up 1. Gordon down 2. And Mike Skinner moves up 1 to the 10th position. ESPN's coverage of the Exide NASCAR Select Batteries 400 from Richmond is being brought to you by Quaker State for protection beyond 3,000 miles under any driving conditions. By Daytona USA, the official attraction of NASCAR. And by Advance Auto Parts, the best part is our people. The crowd files out of Richmond International Raceway. Tony Stewart wins. Bobby Labonte finishes second. A great night for Dale Jarrett.
And back here in the infield media center after 2 rough races, a good solid third place finish.
Yeah, it didn't look like that for a while, but the guys really kept working on the car and making adjustments. Seeing that the track tightened up as we went on, and a lot more than we anticipated, and so we had to start making major adjustments. And guys made just an incredible pit stop the last time, and that was the big difference. That got us up there where we could race the guys in front for a while. They were still too strong, and congratulations to Tony Stewart. He did an awesome job. Bobby Labonte ran well. Didn't have anything for those guys, but we fought all night and got us third place, and that was big for us.
The magic number for you right now, 270 unofficially.
Sounds nice. And the races are winding down. So just got to keep doing these type of things. Got to go to Loudon next week and have another good race and get back on track here. Thanks to my crew, Todd Parrott. They did a great job for us tonight, and it was nice to get this car back up front.
Dale, if you hadn't gotten a solid finish tonight, people would have started to whisper a little bit of pressure, a little bit of bad luck.
Hey, there's a lot of pressure. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot. You know, you start thinking about how tough each one of these tracks are to pass on and the things that can happen. And but I think we're ready to handle it.
Remember your first win?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I sure do. And I hope Tony Stewart enjoys that. He well deserves it.
Okay, congratulations on a great run. See you next week.
Thanks.
All right, here are the results now. Tony Stewart led the most laps. As a matter of fact, he led 333 of the 400. Bobby Labonte led a lap, and so did Mike Skinner, but only 8 cars were on the lead lap at the end of the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. records his first top 10 finish in Winston Cup.
We'll see 16th through 30th this afternoon. All these cars will lap down. Steve Park will lead that group. Elliott Sadler continues with another good run. 17th tonight. Steve Grissom back in 30th. He finishes 5 laps down. Hornaday back in 29th.
Finally, you see a couple other drivers who led. There weren't many of those yellow marks out there tonight because Tony Stewart led with so many laps. But you see Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon way down on the list there this week.
Guys, you made live TV because you took the words right out of my mouth. Sports Center is coming up next, but we will be back to wrap things up in just a moment from Richmond International Raceway, where Tony Stewart won his first race tonight.